At 6 o'clock on July 15th, 2025, I will call the monthly meeting of the Village Board of Trustees to make order. Roll call.
Berto? Here. Howson?
Here.
Podenko?
Here.
White? Here. Harp?
Here.
Champo? Here. Bell?
Here. Okay. And approval of the agenda. I'd like to amend the agenda to include one item enclosed under 12B, and actually move B and C below that. And that would be closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction and exercise responsibility. Item is discussion of village administrator compensation and benefits. So if I could get a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Howson, second by Harf. Yes,
And then we do have that second amendment as well.
which is the other one?
To pull the board post agreement.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to, can I get you to rescind that?
I rescind. I rescind.
Okay, so then we are going to pull the boathouse agreement 18. Did not get that in for legal review.
Right, Randy just hasn't had time.
Okay,
And I talked to Bridget, she would feel better if Randy already looking at it one last time.
okay. All right, now can I get a motion to approve as amended?
Second.
Motion by Howson,
Second.
second by Harf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Meeting minute, approval of meeting minutes from June 17th.
I have a couple of corrections.
Okay.
On page 2, line 28, I don't believe I voted yes for that.
Okay.
And this was on your agenda line number 8.
I think that there should be a clarification on page 4. Starting on line 30, the concession stand bids. In the motion, it states, which rejects all bids received for the ball field concession stand as presented. Shouldn't we be calling it bathrooms?
They are the restaurant
The
addition to the
concessions.
concession. Yes.
Concession stand bathrooms. And then on line 43, it just reads strange. I don't know. Susan Clark was hired to fill the position effective with formal board approval.
Like there might be a date in there.
Effective immediately with formal board approval. Is that what it should be?
That makes sense.
Page 7, line 26, McAvoy's is spelled wrong. That's with an E. And then I had a question under the licenses. A motion was made by House and seconded by Harp to approve the issuance of Class A combination Class A liquor licenses as presented in the packet. Did that include correcting all the errors on the applications that I found? Is that what that motion was?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it should state that.
I should say normally they approve it and then administration goes back and calls everybody and makes them fix all the little clear.
Right, but it
As
wasn't
amended.
in the motion.
Oh,
so
sure.
I thought that's what,
It was as amended.
that's all that I got.
Page 4, line 8. I think that's a text amendment or a text amendment. Someone I have.
Can you repeat that?
Page 4, line 8. It says text amendment. Anyone else? I'll make a motion, we approve as amended. By Bell,
Second.
second by Kadanko, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, comments, correspondence, concerns from the public? Yes, Patrice.
I'd like to read a letter I've written to the board. Fellow board members, at last month's board meeting, I notified the office in advance that I would be attending Zoom due to a severe eye infection with a doctor's note. I have attended Zoom meetings on occasion for the past 2+ years, as other board members have also done. After the conclusion of our open session, we moved to closed executive session. Without notice, I was abruptly expelled from the executive session meeting because I was on Zoom. According to the Wisconsin state law, a village president is not allowed to exclude any board member from a meeting in person or via electronic Zoom, open or closed executive session, Wisconsin State Statute 19.89. This action appears to make me look untrustworthy, unworthy of participation, and silenced my voice as a board member. Let it be clear, board members are not allowed to be excluded from open or closed meetings and are protected by Wisconsin state statute and law. Thank you.
Please. I don't think it's appropriate to have you speak right now, Randy. I think we need to agenda that item and all that, correct?
You're probably right.
Okay, we'll just,
I have addressed that.
okay. Does anyone else like to? Yes.
Lori Harp, Cherry Court, Sister Bay. I read the letter that Vivian Nino had written regarding her garbage carts and her attached STR. So I'd like the village to make an exception to the STR garbage pickup by going regarding them in particular. They're the only couple that I'm aware of in Sister Bay that live in the same home year-round with an STR attached. They pay for garbage pickup through their property taxes, and to charge them an additional monthly fee year-round to pick up those same carts doesn't seem fair. In the past, they've housed seasonal workers that have never had an issue regarding the need for extra carts. And I think because Vivian and her husband live in that home and take their carts out, which will include that garbage, this is like something that should be an exception to the rule.
Thank you. Anyone else out there? Anyone on Zoom? Raise hand.
So we did receive letters, one from the Dorfman Library, that was sent, that was in the packet. We have one from the buyers, which will be discussed later on the agenda. We also have, the Vivian Nino letter that, Laurel Harf referenced. And then the, Happy Coffee correspondence, which will be addressed later as well. And then we did receive some late correspondence regarding the Luna View property, and that was sent to members, but will be summarized when we get to the agenda item. And then Richard Skip Heiler had sent something that was a letter that was forwarded to the board. We can summarize that as well when we get to the Hoffman case. And then Mr. Hoffman sent some photos, which we'll talk about when we get to the Hoffman case, rather than review them right now.
No one else would like to speak? We will go on to presentations. Tourism update by DDC. Juliana B. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here today again. This is my third year, I believe, presenting to the Sister Bay Board, and I'm delighted to do it. It also gives me a really great excuse to stop over at Wild Tomato and bring my fiance home. I also want to just start out with, I understand that the board and quite a few people in this room are well aware of a lot of the basics of the tourism zone and our operations in the collection and remittance for room tax. We are moving forward this year with a little bit of a hiccup in terms of the start of the year, a little bit of a bump. But it sounds like we're getting some strong numbers in. So for anybody who's taking a look at the tourism zone data, it's going to be shifting into a different portion as we go from May forward. I also wanted to go through, I placed a packet in front of you. So I need to say before I start in with this that there are a lot of things that potentially impact tourism numbers. The fantastic marketing done by Destination Door County boosts visitorship. But we also have other market factors that are at play. The type of visitors that are traveling or coming in, economic conditions, weather, price elasticity, experience quality, and the willingness to pay for certain services fluctuates year to year. So anything that I talk about today, I just want you to keep that in mind as we look at that. One of the things that our office is doing is taking a look at the larger picture. And as we've gotten to a space in time where we have more data, more years to compare to, we're starting to get a better picture of how lodging has changed since the tourism zone was started in 2007. So the first page of what I provided to you, you should see that Sister Bay units and county units page, where it reviews the property type and the number of units for each property type for the village of Sister Bay and for the county as a whole. There's also two graphs below that that show the comparisons on a countywide scale and from Sister Bay. And then on the back of that page, there is also a percentage increase. Now the comparison is from 2019 to 2025. And it's an inclusion of several years. It's our last, I would say, normal pre-COVID year is what we benchmark against quite a bit. And I wanted to point out a few things there. The first of these is that you've actually seen the most growth percentage-wise in your condo category. And Sister Bay is rather unique because they've seen a more significant increase in their condo category percentage-wise comparatively to other municipalities. You're pretty much on track. About 32, there's been a 32% increase in the last 6 years between cottages, cabins, homes previously and where we are now. Across the county, we've been seeing a bit of a decrease in the number of available resort units as well. So there is a slight drop in some of those more traditional lodging facilities, but it's picking up more in the hotel section for that. Another thing that I'd like to point out is that you haven't really lost as many resort units as other municipalities, and you do maintain a high ratio of traditional lodging compared to the rest of the county. And in my research with Destinations International, U.S. Travel Association, it is best that we offer a wide variety of options, it is suggested, to make sure that we are attracting all kinds of price points, and we are also attracting all types of visitors to the area. So one of the questions that we also get pretty frequently when it comes to the growth in the number of units and the number of permits is, okay, where are these owners? I know that there's been a lot of discussion over the last couple of years about ownership of those properties. And one of the things that we do track with our permit applications is the mailing addresses, the primary mailing addresses for those who have short-term rentals here. It's something that, again, it's kind of a little bit of a disclaimer, but we track it, it's self-reported, and we don't update each year. but we do update based on the owner request. So if you'll look, I think it's the second page there. It outlines the percentage of units, the percentage of, the percentage of permits in the village of Sister Bay that are owned by someone located in Door County, where their primary mailing address listed is in Door County. Right now, it's about 24%. That's a little bit lower than the average for the rest of the county. The county averages about 33% for primary mailing addresses within the county. However, you have a larger percentage of permit holders with a primary mailing address in Wisconsin. So it's 78% of all the permits that are with the Door County Tourism Zone for Sister Bay. The owner's primary mailing address is located in Wisconsin. And that's followed by Illinois, where there's 16 out of 138 properties, permits that are located in Illinois for about 11.5%. And then 4 out of the 138 are located in Minnesota, and that's about 3%. So just a piece of information for a comparison. And then moving on to the next couple of pages, we also have a comparison for occupancy, average daily rate, and our revenues by property type. We are spending more time looking at revenues by property type because of the span between the number of bedrooms often for cottages, cabins, and homes versus more traditional lodging that can hold fewer people. So we are starting to track that separately more to make sure that we are getting a more accurate picture of when somebody comes in, what are they paying. Unfortunately, we aren't at a place where we can actually look at bodies and rooms, but we are getting a look at those units. This year so far, the village of Sister Bay is down by about 5.4% when it comes to revenues. And we have been seeing a decline over the past couple of years in occupancy. Part of that is due to the fact that there are additional units that are coming on the market, but we're also seeing a decrease in the number of rented unit nights. Something that I want to point out with that is as the cottages, cabins, home category has increased, because they can hold more people, there is an element to those decreasing units that it suggests that it could be because there are more people that can fit into the property. There is less of a need for those units. But it is having that impact and we're just keeping an eye on it. It is still early in the season. Again, I don't want anyone to be concerned at this point. It is something that we're looking at, but that is our current position.
Thank you. Questions?
Nate, there's one thing that I shared with the trustees, Juliana has as well. You can read it at your leisure, but essentially it recaps the short-term rental units we have in Sister Bay, broken out by housing type compared to the prior, and this is a snapshot in time. So this is April 25 versus April of 24, because that's what we have right now. We have room tax through April 24. It's the most recent numbers that we have from BCTZ. So the total number of short-term rentals we have is flat versus the prior year. And short-term rentals as a percent of all of our housing units is 39%. And the majority of that is hotels, motels, resorts, inns, and condos. 12% of all of our housing units are 12% of our housing units are in single-family homes are short-term rentals. So at the bottom of the report, you'll see information that I got from our assessor, and that information will tell you how many housing units we have by category. So we have 589 condos, 706 single-family homes. We have 24 apartment buildings with 259 apartment units. So we have 1,554 housing units. And of that, 45% are single-family homes, 38% are condos, and 17% are apartments. So the takeaways are at the bottom, which is basically short-term rental growth in Sister Bay is flat. 86% of short-term rentals are hotels, condos, resorts, or inns. 14% of short-term rentals are single-family homes. And 12% of the village, of the total village's single-family homes, which are 706, are short-term rentals. So I'll just give you a snapshot. Doesn't change much from month to month. It may, but you know, if we have something open, you know, like another condo built or something like that. But most of those are deed restricted. Chances are they won't go into short-term rentals. So that's why pretty much everything is going to be flat.
And more of the growth that we are seeing is in southern door compared to northern door. And that margin has been increasing over the past 3 years.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I'll pass it over to Julie.
Oh,
Probably too much.
Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. I think you can see why we're very fortunate to be able to work with the tourism zone and Juliana. It's just, she has such great insight, and together we really can help increase and sustain our visitor economy. And then I have several GBC board members with us. Bjorn Johnson with Al Johnson's, Chris Schnell for the Door Hotel, and without knowing, Mr. Ken Abbott with Door County. So tourism promotion and development is really the foundation of what we do. And you can see in your packet the tourism impact report from 2024. And the visitor economy in Door County generated a record $651.2 million in total economic impact. And that direct visitor spending totaled $523.2 million, supported more than 3,500 local jobs, and contributed $53.3 million in state and local taxes. And those are dollars that really can help fund schools, emergency services, infrastructure, as well as the very quality of life that makes Door County such a special place to visit and live. On the top of the right-hand side, you'll see a funding flow chart, and that all starts with a visit. And by statute, 70% of the revenue is dedicated to destination promotion and tourism development. So that 70% flows through the zone and then to Destination Door County. And we put those funds to work in 3 key ways. It supports core marketing and operations that enhance the visitor experience, drive year-round economic impact, and support our partners and businesses across the county. And then it invests in projects through the Community Investment Fund. And since awarding those first grant dollars in 2023, there has been an investment of $2.4 million in 47 different local projects throughout Door County. On the 3rd page on the right side of your folder, it shows projects including $90,000 that was awarded to the village of Sister Bay for a multi-jurisdictional trail, $48,489 awarded for the purchase of a shuttle bus to provide public transportation for residents, J1 and visitors, and then $75,000 to build an ADA accessible restroom at the Sister Bay baseball fields. All such incredible projects, and what a great way to reinvest back into the community. And then that 70% also provides direct support to our community business associations, such as Sister Bay Advancement Association through the Strategic Community Partnership. And these dollars are being invested directly into the success of Door County's communities by supporting the vital work that our community business associations do. And it elevates local efforts from events and community initiatives to incredible business engagement. And we're super grateful for our partnership with Aaron and Ally with Sister Bay Advancement Association. So each municipality keeps 30% of that collected revenue. And then a portion of that, of course, is returned to the municipalities. I'm sorry, a portion of the 70%, which is the municipal reimbursement fund. So what the village pays for the zone to collect the lodging tax, we then in turn from that 70% reimburse the municipality back. And then on the left side of your, I'm sorry, in that right side as well, we've also included the latest Village of Sister Bay municipal newsletter and a copy of our board of directors. So you can see who is leaders in addition to our Sister Bay representatives. And then on the left side, you'll find a copy of our strategic plan, and it outlines our goals, key objectives, and strategies that we use to guide our work. You'll see performance metrics that we track regularly to measure impact. And this framework was created in collaboration with the Strategic Planning Committee, and that consisted of the Destination Door County Board of Directors and Tourism Zone Commissioners. And it really helps ensure transparency, accountability, and alignment with the needs of our community. And then the Door County Stewardship Plan really is about shaping a future that works for everyone. And this is not just a Destination Door County plan. It truly is a community-driven plan that we put together through interviews, focus groups, and a steering committee that all came together and really defined what those challenges were, what the initiatives were, and what we have to look forward to. We have a staff person that focuses specifically on the stewardship plan, and we report quarterly on how we're moving the needle on those initiatives. And then you'll also see looking at what we do related to some of the natural resources and green practices to reduce single-use plastics, expand the composting and recycling, and then offering free hydration at community events. And I think we've scheduled 6 events in Sister Bay this year, the free hydration, and it's just really been incredible to see the engagement that people are so supportive of the water initiative with the compostable cups. And we track all of that so we can see the saving on plastic use. And then I've also included a couple of other initiatives in there for you to look at. Our State Parks Challenge is helping raise $50,000 for the friends groups of each state park, and that will help fund park enhancements and provide, once they reach their goal of $50,000, they'll receive an additional $50,000 that is waiting for them to get to that 50. So we're helping all of the friends groups in achieving that goal. And then you'll also find an overview of our accessibility assessment. And it was with the support of the Tourism Zone Commissioner. We're sponsoring 3 countywide assessments for 70 sites this fall: lodging, restaurants, retail, and attractions, to really help Door County be more inclusive and welcoming for everyone. And it's not an audit, it's an assessment, hopefully to help businesses or organizations identify some of the things that they can do that may not cost anything, or look at what they can do that may start costing certain things, and then we can help them identify a way of trying to generate that revenue to pay for that. And then lastly, there is a copy of our new Heritage Trail Pass, and that's a free digital pass that features 28 of our cultural and historic sites across the county. It was launched at the beginning of History Days, first part of June, and there's over 600 people that have signed in and are currently using the pass, which is really exciting because it's just lifting our cultural and historical assets to a much higher level and getting more people engaged with them. I know it's a lot, and please take some time when you have it to review. And I am always open. If you have suggestions, thoughts, I'd really appreciate any feedback at any time. My card is in there. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Julie, do you see any data on, relatively current data on retail sales, or how the season is? Because we won't get room tax for right now until August or September.
Yeah.
But do you have any, whether it's anecdotal wasn't great, but any feedback or anything you're hearing from other destination organizations around the state?
Yeah, we do get Visa View data, but it's quarterly, and it's, just.
So these are Visa charged?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in county, which gives you a little bit of a
So it's
picture.
quarterly, so you would
Yeah,
have
and
it
that's-
through March.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
talking to some of the businesses around here with retail, they've struggled some.
Yeah,
Talking to destinations throughout the US, it is so up and down. It
okay.
depends on the state, it depends on the part of the state, and, it's very interesting because there's no one answer, it's like all over the map,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I was just looking, we have Pratt, but we only have it through March. So it's always in arrears. So our premier resort area tax over 25 over 24 is up like $1,000, so it's
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can send you what we have.
Yeah, and the state's flat too.
From May.
The state's flat too, so that's, Ephraim is up. And they're the only ones until Sturgeon Bay now.
Yeah.
That can charge it. And Ephraim's up significantly. So January, February, March, whatever happened there, but it's, kind of a small quarter. So we're kind of following in what else is way up. But following what's happening with the state, but I just,
I'll
because
send
that's a
you that
tax
piece
on
of you.
pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And we can't capture retail sales or sales tax for the village.
Yeah. I'll send you the visa.
It just would be
because I
helpful, because
think-
then it would be helpful if we can help our businesses,
Yeah.
try to take some action.
Yeah, I think I think we have a dashboard that was pulled specific to Sister Bay.
Well, the other side of that is, like, what's working? Let's do more of that.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that you're hearing that's great, like outdoor rec, which we kind of own. Yeah, that's our thing, so
Yeah.
that would be great, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's gonna, I'm not suggesting that, well, this is at all. As Juliana said, it's early. So
Yeah,
in the
but we need to keep
reports
an
we
eye
have.
on it, right? Just to, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. I'd like to thank you for showing up here again. I know it's a little bit of a low bar, but it's really nice to see somebody from Destination Door County here every year, because we didn't get that for a while.
I'm always up in Sister Bay.
I see you out. Thank you. Juliana.
Well, she's usually at a bar, but that's.
Okay.
As are you, Louise, as are
She didn't
you.
hear me. It's perfect.
Okay,
What
so
did you say? Wait a minute.
Nothing. I said nothing.
Oh, it was Louise said something.
Maybe.
okay, on to 6C, add Village Administration Building. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, the county topic and county update.
Here, I thought I was off the hook, I could go already.
No, you just didn't get in our packet.
Oh, thank you. Again, my name is Ken Paddock. I'm the Door County Administrator, serving all of you as well. Tonight, we'd like to cover two main topics with you. One is emergency management, and one is also an update on our communications towers, which we've gone to every single community in the county so far, except for Sister Bay and Washington Island. So we're almost at the end. But it's very important that you have the updates, and actually, being at the end, we also have some positive news in terms of updates. So you'll have some of that tonight, but I'll save that for Ashley to provide to you. But what I'd like to do is I have Jeff Salins here for our emergency management. He's going to talk really quick about some of the areas that are important to the residents and to yourselves. And then we're going to change over to Ashley, and she's going to cover some of the items for our communications project. And if you guys ask us truly technical questions, I brought our IT director that will help us bail us out. So let me turn it over to Jeff first, and we'll go from there, all right? Thanks.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Jeff Salins. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Door County. I took over about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. Live up in Gills Rock, so I'm literally here all the time. There's a couple things I wanted to talk with you guys about tonight. One being the flyers that I handed out in front of you. So that is our new emergency alerting system that we put in place last September. So that replaced our old system called Code Red. So this new system called Door County Ready allows us the ability to get alerts out to more people across the county, especially our tourism folks that come up here. The old system was just a volunteer sign up, and this system has that piece of it as well. So it has that sign up where you can sign up, receive weather alerts to your phone, emergency notifications that are sent out by dispatch, but it also has the ability to alert a lot of people in a small area that might not be signed up for it. We used it just on Saturday to find a missing person with Alzheimer's down in Bailey's Harbor. It was incredibly successful. It got the public out there looking for her right away. So it's a really neat program. And right now we're really trying to get it out there. I noticed on your guys' website, you still are referencing Code Red. So that's one of the changes I would like to ask you guys just to make. Forward facing, get the public out there to sign up for these alerts. Because as we've seen in recent events around the country, having those emergency notifications to the public really helps out the public, getting them prepared in time for disasters, but it also helps our first responders and having less victims that are out there in danger. So that was one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about. Before I move on, is there any questions about that part of it? Okay, perfect. The second part is our hazard mitigation plan. We update that every 5 years. We're starting our update this year. And as a village, you guys are one of the participants. So we probably worked with, Dan King probably worked with you guys last time around 5 years ago. That process is currently on hold. As many of you probably know, the federal system right now is a bit tyrannic, right? So a lot of things are changing. The grant we were going to use to fund that did get pulled. So we're kind of waiting and seeing on what that looks like from the state and the federal wise. We still do want to update that plan because it is a useful plan. It identifies our hazards, some of the risks that we face. So flooding, tornadoes, things like that. But it also highlights what you as a municipality are doing to protect your population from those risks. So more on that as we continue. And then the final one is just planning for emergencies. So I've been working with the Sister Bay Advancement Association on Fall Fest, and we've been putting together some plans for these bigger festivals that you guys host. Because since taking over, that's been my #1 priority. I think that is kind of a weak spot that we really haven't done enough for. And I would encourage you on the municipality level to develop those emergency operation plans. So for an emergency operation plan on the county level, it is our guidebook on what to do, how we operate on a very dark stormy night. We develop these in blue sky days, so we're not trying to figure these things out at 2 o'clock in the morning and saying, whose responsibility is this? Who's gonna pay for this? So this is something that I would highly recommend you guys do on a local level. And I am more than happy to sit down with you and guide you through that process, show you some templates and examples, even our county plan, and how we have it set up. That might help you guys out in the long run. And then the final thing I would just say is having a local emergency manager, someone that I can reach out to in the middle of the night and say, do you have storm damage? What's going on? Is the power out? You know, does scans have power? You know, these are some critical questions that are, from a county perspective, going to determine how we respond to this disaster. That person is up to you to put forward. I would recommend your probably highest elected official, because the majority of the time they have the ability to spend money, make decisions, and have some pretty good working local knowledge. But that is up to you. And of course, I'm more than happy to come back and have these conversations on a little bit deeper level, and then we can kind of get into the weeds of what does that look like, what are the responsibilities, and what kind of relationship we would have going forward. So I know I covered a lot, but any questions from you guys? Yes, ma'am.
Not so much a question, but I think 5 years ago, at the last update, and there was a committee formed in Sister Bay, Emergency Management, and we had a few meetings at that time. I was on it, Chris Heck was on it, and I can't remember who else was involved. And I think then COVID hit. And so that was an emergency within itself for the county, so we just pulled back. And we keep wanting to get back to that and creating a plan very specific for Sister Bay. We did talk about it, I think within the last 6 months or something, and decided that with some staff issues, losing some people, having new people, that they were just kind of stretched, and so we were going to put it on hold, but we do want to get back to this. And I'm hoping maybe that we can start that up again next year and address all the things that we started talking about 5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to come by and sit in on those discussions and share with you some of my ideas and how other places are doing it in the county and kind of how I see us going forward with this. So yeah, my door is always open.
Denise, I think that Jeff and I have had a couple conversations around Fall Fest that lays some of the groundwork. It doesn't replace that,
Yeah.
but it's got some of the things that are starting to come. Really, the focus of the conversations I've had with you has really been about communication. And
Oh,
working
yeah,
on getting that.
communication
That's-
is terrible. I guess I do have a question. How much was the grant that was pulled?
It would have funded all of our hours for updating it, so it was approximately $28,000. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna hand things off to Ashley.
Good evening, thank you all for having us. My name is Ashley DeGrave. I'm the Technology Services Project Manager overseeing the communications project upgrade in Door County. And so for those that don't know, that's basically all of our emergency communications, and we all share the same system, all the municipalities do. So that's fire, EMS, sheriff, we're all on the same system. So this is an entire overhaul to that system. So before we get into the handout there, I'll just give you a little bit of a background, kind of how we got to the point that we are today. So this started back in October of 2020. Our then consultant was Len Keenan. He did a presentation and identified that our existing system would be end of life in 2028 based off of typical public safety life cycles. And so then around that same time, he announced his retirement. So it started the process of us identifying a new consultant for our communications. So our next step in the process was to get a consultant, which OCG, which is Omnicom Consulting Group out of Florida, is who is working with us on this project. now and going forward. And along with them, the county has a CAPS committee, which it stands for Communications Advisory Technical Subcommittee. And that committee is comprised of vested members in this system. So we have sheriff, EMS, fire, emergency management, our communications, lots of parties to be able to help build the best system that we can, alongside OCG making those decisions. So they've been a part of this process up to this point and will continue as the system evolves. So the first part of their decision-making process was to select what type of system we wanted to move from. So we're currently on a VHF system, and what they've selected is, it's a lot of information, but I'll break it down. It's a P25 APCO 7,800 megahertz system. So the P25 is a certified public safety system. APCO is the nationwide organization that sets public safety regulations to be sure that these types of systems work the best that they can in those mission critical types of events. So we'll be selecting a vendor that adheres to all of those standards, and the system will work the best that it can. So then the 7,800 megahertz is strictly the frequency that broadcasts in compared to what we're currently at. With VHF, there weren't as many regulations put into place, and so there's a lot more noise and interference on those types of frequencies. So the 7,800 megahertz band has dedicated frequencies for public safety, so that cuts down a lot on that interference and regulates who can be broadcasting on your frequencies. So then the next part of that was coming up with a system design, which is what you see there in front of you. So what that map is representing is portable outdoor coverage, and that's basically the standard that they broadcast in, because it's typically the harder coverage to get with the radios being on your hip, could be blocked by your body. Things as simple as relocating a radio from your hip to your shoulder can enhance the coverage that you're seeing there. So the typical standard nationwide, typically it's like 95% per county. Our CATS committee had identified those red boxed areas around the peninsula. Those are areas that they're seeing as problem areas in our current system, and wanted to be sure that in the new system that we're trying to address those the best that we can. So instead of going to 95% per county, we did per municipality to enhance those problem areas, and you can see the coverage there is pretty substantial. So that brings the whole county to just under 98% countywide portable outdoor coverage. In vehicles where antennas are more enhanced, your coverage is going to be even greater than that. So then what that looks like, the design looks like, is takes our existing infrastructure, which is 13 sites. Some of those are co-locates and some of those are towers that we own. And then we would be adding 8 additional sites, which would be 2 co-locates on towers that already exist, and then the building of 6 new sites throughout the county. The plan will be for the county to partner, continue their partnership with Ensight. We've worked with them on many projects, including our fiber ring, and some of the sites we're currently utilizing are Ensight sites. So through their sister company, Vertical Bridge, the plan will be that the county will obtain the land for those sites, and then they will build, own, and maintain those sites going forward. And with that partnership, they will be enhancing, the cellular coverage in that area as well, not just the emergency communications, which is great. So then the second attachment there for you is the radio information, the subscriber radio information. So we recently obtained updated counts from all of the municipalities on what their infrastructures as far as that looked like. And that's an estimated cost of what that would be for the Sister Bay Liberty Grove Fire Department. There are 2 prices listed there. We did that just as a comparison to show you. We have mid-tier and high-tier radios priced out. The CATS committee made the determination that the mid-tier radios will be sufficient for all of our public safety needs. Those high-tier radios would have enhanced features that we probably wouldn't use anyhow. So we'll be moving forward with a mid-tier type of radio. So the good piece of information that we can share, we had a joint meeting this afternoon between our Judiciary, Public Safety, Finance, and Admin Committee to discuss the purchase of the subscriber radios that you see there, as well as the potential implementation of a subscriber fee. And
the recommendation will go forward, but needs county board approval to be official, but what the recommendation will be is that the county will fund the purchase of those radios, so there will be no cost on the municipal level, and the only cost that the municipalities would pay is for a preventative maintenance on those subscriber costs, which would be like we'll do it every other year, and that would be $32.50 per device every year. And then we'll have a biannual tuning of those radios. They'll be touched by whoever services our, when they get the contract, whoever services our system, so that we make sure that those radios are up to date all the time.
Ashley, can you just clarify, is that $32.50?
Correct, yes, sorry, yes, $32.50 per device per year. And that's for the mobiles, portables, and desktop control stations, not pagers.
So something you said that I really disagree with, and I don't think it's an accurate portrayal of, is to say Vertical Bridge is a sister company to Ensight. It's a nationwide tower company that's got over 500,000 sites. What happened is Vertical Bridge took over the management of all the Ensight tower sites several years ago on a 20-year lease, and they got a bunch of money to do it, and Telecom took that money to put into 5G. But it's not going to be Telecom that's operating these tower sites. And I guess my question would be, aren't you concerned about some of the noise issues you've gotten at some of the commercial sites where you're going to partner with Vertical Bridge and they're going to put up a commercial site and they're going to want to try and put every provider they can on there to try and get money? I mean, what keeps from happening the same situation that's going on in Ellison Bay?
The technical side of that.
So the biggest issue that we have currently is that we're on VHF. That ultimately is the biggest catalyst to the fact that we have interference right now, right? Because it's more susceptible to it. There's a lot more noise. And because of its carry, that noise can come from further distance. Once you start getting into ultra high frequency or UHF style 700-800 range, because they have dedicated frequencies, and because it's digital, there's a lot more error correction and things of that nature to help out with those type of things in the first place. Besides that, with our agreements, one of the things that we always put in place when we share towers with other individuals is to make sure that the public safety operations come first, right? So when, if there needs to be a change on a tower or something of that nature that we're currently on and coexist with somebody, there's a study done to make sure that what they're adding won't add noise to what we already have. So I guess that.
Are you're comfortable with that? I mean, like, because I guess I hear what you're saying. You're going to 800. You're going to be directional. You're not going to be picking up everything out there. You're not going to have a situation like you got in Ellison Bay where you're going to pick up the FM stations that are going to induct on your lines. But you're comfortable. But is it mostly because of that frequency? Because I mean, Fish Creek has got some of the same issues.
So Fish Creek, we moved to another tower that we put in Gibraltar, right? Because of some of the noise that we were seeing, but the noise couldn't be pinpointed. They never had anything conclusive as to why we were receiving interference on that site. It was never proven that it was anything on that tower itself. Essentially, we moved it to get away from the noise that we were seeing. But yes, to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, so
I feel a lot more comfortable because the bands that we're using, the fact that they're better regulated, better maintained. It's why the digital televisions all got moved to different spectrums and things of that nature, is to make room for these type of systems, because they wanted to do it right this time around instead of it being a free-for-all that it has been with the VHF type system.
Okay, so I guess what you're really saying is the band is the biggest thing. The movement to there, that makes sense.
Correct, and because it doesn't have as much carry too. I mean, the irony of it is you'll get better building penetrations, but your like AM radio, it travels a long ways, but it doesn't have a lot of penetration versus FM and things of that nature. As you're moving up with the technology and the ultra high frequency, it doesn't have as much carry, so there's less chance for things to cause interference from a distance. Like we're seeing chatter from Marinette and across the water because it skips across the water currently because that VHF system has such a much further reach. The reason for the new towers is the current bands don't have that kind of reach. So you have less chance of interference just from the bands alone.
Sure, that makes sense. What are you looking? I mean, I see there's a tower in Sister Bay. I'm aware that the county has got property out on the highway side. Is that where is the county looking to put a tower out there?
That has been a discussed location. We have not solidified a plan with that because there's some other sites, the Ellison Bay site that is a heavily loaded site, so we're trying to determine its ability to use in the new system, which kind of then plays into the placement of that area as well.
Is there an option to, I mean, like, you could use commercial tower sites again if you're going up to 800 megahertz. I mean, do you think you could use the vertical bridge site at Lundquist Plumbing then? I mean, is that a consideration?
Our consultant reviewed all of the, I can look into that one specifically just to be sure, but our consultant did review sites within the areas to make sure. And is that one at the same area as the ECB site? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's about a half mile away.
Okay, we can take a peek at that just to be sure.
Okay.
So it shows we have a tower here, but
No, it shows they want to put a new tower
It
in
says new
Sister
tower,
Bay
right?
Village proper.
okay,
Yeah.
and the purple ones, the print is too small, I can't read it, what does it say? The little purple tower in the
Those
legend,
are existing sites.
existing, okay,
The
So-
red ones are the new ones.
so we never had one.
No.
And you want to put one up, got it,
Potentially.
we never had one, but we aren't in a red box, okay.
Thanks for asking a question I could understand the answer to.
Because they're
It's a compliment. That
probably,
was a compliment.
even though you weren't in a red area, removing a site in that area probably, it would decrease the coverage in that area. I mean, we tried to enhance.
I'm all
those-
for having it,
yeah.
I just thought it was,
Yes,
Okay,
I
so-
mean, the goal was not to, I mean, yes, we want to enhance those red areas, but we also want the coverage everywhere. So
Yeah.
removing that site would decrease the coverage in the surrounding municipalities.
okay,
We're probably getting coverage from the Lundquist Tower site right now.
what's that tower for?
That is, it's owned by Vertical Bridge. There's health self providers on there. There's public safety on there. There's a lot of different stuff on there.
Does the county use that?
We're on the Ellison Bay site.
So you're not actually on it? Okay.
No, the ECB site, which is up,
That's got a lot of problems.
there's several sites up in there, like 5 towers all up there together.
I guess my question is, obviously, everybody wants great emergency services coverage. I'm sure during high tourist season, everybody would like better cell phone and Wi-Fi coverage here. But does the village of Sister Bay, if there's a tower going up in the limits of Sister Bay, do we get a say on where it goes?
I believe you have your own zoning on that, so they would have to
Oh,
come
thank
to
God.
you for approval, yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you again. for
Great, you
allowing
guys
us
have
to-
done,
thank
yeah,
you.
you've done some great work, great.
So, Thank you.
So Ken, what else are you up to? We haven't had an update from the village, from the county board for a while, sadly.
Well, I think the news we
Anything
brought
new and
tonight, probably
exciting?
one of the biggest shifts, we finally made a decision on how we're gonna fund this, so.
Okay,
This project itself is probably one of the largest capital projects the counties embark on. The
Right.
total cost of the project right now estimated is about $28 million.
yikes.
So, having the county take on a lot of the costs for municipalities to get it off the ground, is a pretty big decision, I think, so.
So when would it actually get started?
We're hoping to actually probably we're in the acquisition site right now for the site, so you'll see the towers hopefully starting to go up as soon as possible. We're hoping to bring the system online sometime in 28,
28.
correct?
And I just have a question real quick, or Ashley, should we be budgeting in 26 anything for this project, or should we continue to hold off?
No, your subscriber, say it's subscriber fee, but for that biennial maintenance wouldn't take effect until the system goes live, so it probably, I mean, if we go live in 2028, I would expect probably not till 29.
Okay, that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, Chad, I did hold back a lot of other comments.
That
and
was a
everything, 'cause I-
compliment, that was a compliment.
Okay, on to 6C, presentation on ad hoc village administration. Board Committee. Thank you, Dick.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Russ. Mr. President, you've received my final summation to the ad hoc committee recommendation. Just a simple reminder, it is an ad hoc committee and none of the recommendations within that committee are binding to this organization. We recognize that. We feel, however, that we did due diligence. It's important to note that the committee was not unanimous in its final determination. We had a board representation at those meetings, and I think we did a pretty good job of looking at what the critical components of where the ad hoc building should be. It was not our job to say how big a building should be, or whether or not it can fit on a piece of property. That is up to you as a body. We had a list of 23 points, and we were asked to identify our 5 principal points, which we did. And the site selection that we made was significantly higher than any other sites as to those recommendations. I will say that as I reflect back on the analysis that we did, and because of the tight timeline that we gave ourselves, we probably glossed over or overlooked some of the sites that we had originally looked at. And what I mean by that is, for example, the Wilsey site on ZZ was identified early on as a site that contained contamination from a mixing station. And the arsenic that was on the site was identified by a study that you did as a village. Well, the placement, if you do certain things to that property, you have to remediate that property. And one of the reasons remediation is not necessary is if you use it as a site to build, as long as there's no basement and as long as there's parking. So, we probably could have taken a longer look at that particular site, but we eliminated it early on. And again, so that was through some time constraint. And we did that with a number of sites. But I think ultimately what we did is we looked at the sites that we identified early on. There was 14 of them. It went to 15, it went to 18, it went back to 5, eventually 15. And at the first meeting, we reduced that substantially. So all of that is in the final report. And I guess I'm just here to say that I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I want to thank the committee members that joined me and the ones that participated in the discussions. So, questions?
I think that Chad was the only one that wasn't there. For some,
I try not to go, they had a job to do. So ultimately, when it comes to where the former Parks building is, or soon to be former Parks building, you guys didn't take into consideration much building size or parking or retention spot ponds.
We had a very nice report from Julie about if we were to take the existing building as designed and attempt to place it there, why that would be problematic. And that included things like the relationship with the Libby Grove Library, the number of parking spaces, the setbacks, etc. And that's all in that packet. But again, there's an awful lot of people who feel that the building as designed is an overbuild. And we weren't going to go there. We just looked at the site. There were other considerations as well. If we get too large at that site, there is a holding pond determinant that comes into effect. We looked at some remediation of that. There were some suggestions as to the remediation of that, downsizing the building, moving wastewater underneath the street, et cetera, or runoff water. So there were some discussions that were helpful. But again, we went back to the fact that that was really not our job. Where do we feel was the best site? And I know that, and Kurt, I'm going to embarrass you here a little bit. Oh, go ahead. Kurt was not in the majority, and I respect his opinion a lot. Thank you. But he talked about looking to the future, and I can appreciate that because I think I do look to the future. But, when I came here tonight, there were 29 people in this audience, which is the most I have ever seen. And I'm to a fair amount of meetings, but the fact that 29 people would be here in an agenda like you have tells me that a 75-seat audience may be overkill. I don't know. The parking issue, we talked about that, and I think there's fixes to that. This is my personal position. But as chair of this committee, I will just tell you, we didn't discuss that much. Yes, Denise.
I'm sorry, I just have to make a clarification to. The chambers in the plan that was drawn is the same size as this room. It's not bigger. It just doesn't show tables, it just shows chairs. So if we didn't have tables, we could get 75 people in here also. In case you didn't know.
What is the final, oh, sorry, no, right. I just, what was the final size of the building?
8,000 square feet.
8,000 square. And how does that relate to other villages of our size or?
I would imagine it's larger. But I think in one of our parks meetings, we took, because we're so scattered, you know, we have the admin building and we know it's cramped there and
Yes.
it doesn't function. We took the size of this room, we took the size of the small room where sometimes we would go for executive session, or would like to have a place to go for executive session in a new administration building. That room was of similar size in the new building. We kind of added up all the spaces that we used. And the biggest area was, you know, giving everybody a decent office. There was, I think, one additional office for the future built in to that, you know, we didn't have anybody to move in there at this time. Obviously, there was a small kitchen with a refrigerator and stuff for staff so that they could eat properly and not have to eat at their desk. So we kind of looked at.
Build a nice building. Big nice buildings have a lot of expenses to them. And I think it's important that we do something. I mean, I still share an office with my business partner, Andy Isaacson. It works. You know, it's a big room, it's a good size room. I want all people to have comfort too, but. And thank you for this, Louise. This is really nice information. It's teed you up perfectly. I just have a hard time understanding why Sister Bay needs building a big in Sebastopol, brand new one. I like our parks building, it's wonderful. Lakeview and Bellevue would be envious of it, and they have 15, 20,000 people. I understand that we have more people than our population. I get that, and we have some great parks, and I get we need space, but how much are we spending on that parks building?
4 million,
4 million. And then how much is this one gonna cost?
3 million.
How much is it really gonna cost? I mean, does that include running the sewer line out to,
Yes,
and what's that cost? How much is that?
200,000,
That, you think-
220,000, excuse me.
that seems low to me.
It was in October, I think, last fall, October 2024. We got that number from Stantec, our engineer.
Did we throw that at anybody else to actually look at it, right? Engineers can come up with things and estimate, but then there's builders.
Well, from my understanding, from other projects that were going on, they knew what it was costing per foot.
Yeah, okay.
Not saying that between October and July and
You see though how
that has not changed.
it's hard to spend
because
4 million on a
of
parks building
delay.
and 3 million on an admin building all at the same time in a little village like this. It's just a lot to do. And I know we need an admin building, 100%.
Well, I don't think you were here, Chad.
I've been here the whole time, maybe not in this meeting,
No,
but I've been
no,
in this
no, no,
village, and people have been chirping in my ear. I've
In the
been here the whole
meetings
time.
to hear all the financial numbers that we could afford to do this.
Yeah, we can afford to do it and raise people's taxes. We were not gonna have to raise people's taxes.
No, that was the whole
Then why did we
plan.
raise them last year and have a $500,000 surplus accident? You know, I'm just trying to
I'm just
understand.
trying
it
to
all.
answer your question.
I know you are, and I'm not trying to attack you, but this is more the whole of it. I'm not attacking you. It comes across that way, I apologize. I'm just questioning the whole of it. we had 10+% tax increases in 2 years. And you're telling me this isn't gonna add anything to our expenses?
Correct.
How?
I made a presentation back in January or February that I presented to whoever had shown up on how everything would be paid for. And I can dig that up again. I had sent it to Heidi. She pulled it up on the screen. It went line by line with it. It was a one-page spreadsheet. So I had taken the whole entire budget, CIP, whatever, broke it down into the crux of all of this and explained where the money came from. And it comes from, it does not necessarily only come from the tax levy. What we have been doing since we borrowed all of the money, let me go back. So
And
when Ken was still on the board, we were putting money away for a parks maintenance building and other CIP projects. And how long have you been off the board? 10?
I think so.
15 years.
Whatever. So,
Too long.
so we were saving money for the future to do different projects. There were whatever at the time.
And I'm gonna let you finish, but maybe if you don't, we can put this on an agenda for another meeting and you can go through that report with us. That would be wonderful. Or
Okay.
you can keep going, but I think,
Hold on, Bridget actually raised her hand. I'd like
Sorry.
to acknowledge her.
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna veer us away from what you guys were just saying, though. I was just gonna ask Dick a question as long as he's still standing here. I was scrolling through trying to find it. Do you remember kind of off the top of your head what the top criteria that everybody voted on were like the most important things? Yeah, I
That was one.
remember money was one. If the
Okay.
village owned the land already, was that
That's
the
another one.
purchase that
It's in the
another
packet,
one?
but I can find it.
I was
for you
trying to
if you
scroll
want.
and I was like, I should have
Yeah.
printed this.
And it was on sewer and water.
If it had sewer.
Multiple
and water
uses.
already,
There was what,
if the parking could be double used
yeah,
outside of that time of day, then when we used it, so it would just sit empty all the time.
yeah. The top 5 of the 23. Is this property owned by the village? That scored 20 points. Collectively, each member got to do a ranking of 5 of the 23 points, with the most important being worth 5 points. This property is owned by the village, scored 20 points, which was second to, is this property currently served by sewer and water? That scored 25 points. Overall cost of the project was 20 points. Does this property exhibit good ingress and egress? That was 7 points. And would the parking lot be multi-use? That scored 9 points. So those were the top 5. And if you would like, I can run quickly through the other points. What we did is we allowed the board member or the members of the committee to splash the wall with anything that they deemed appropriate for this new building. And so we wrote down important points or considerations until we had no more, and that was 2023. And so everything from what district are they currently in? Does it maintain green space? Is there remediation of contaminants? Does it represent a village style, which in Sister Bay, I'm not quite sure what that is, but that was asked. Is there a water view? Is there an existing building, et cetera, et cetera? So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
The other point that I wanted to make was there were members of the public that came to the meetings. And one of the points that we heard twice is there are other buildings in Sister Bay. So many municipalities, Gibraltar is a good example. I don't know what space they have, Louise, but they generally run their meetings in one building, and if they have, now they are not a village, so they have an annual meeting and they move to the village hall. We had a representative from the Sister Bay Historical Society saying, you know, we are looking forward to completing our barn renovation, and they will have a meeting space that will hold approximately 140. The point being that in times of extreme, there may be, right now we can go to the village hall, although it doesn't have internet, as I understand. So I realize we're building for convenience, but out in the public, and I hesitate to say it only because it wasn't part of the study, but the thing that I heard most was not so much the meeting hall, the number of seats were concerned, but the blank space, the 2,000 square feet that was identified as hall space or whatever between
The atrium.
between this area and the area. And the concern was that the building should be redesigned to have this space somewhat in the middle with your meeting rooms and again, I'm not an architect or an engineer, but the consensus of the people that I talked to is that and I know you will agree with this, Denise, and so I hesitate to say it, but the decision was rushed hastily in an attempt to justify the purchase of the Lagerquist property. And I'm sorry for that, but that perception is real. And so I don't know if this helps you. Obviously, tonight an agenda item is not to decide where you're going to build this, but it was just to hear my presentation. So is there anything else?
Anyone else have questions? Dick?
This is very helpful.
Thank you for allowing me to do that.
The ad hoc
Thank you,
members.
Dick.
Should we make a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Motion by Housen,
Second.
second by Kadanko. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Julie,
Yes, Julie.
I was just gonna say it's under presentations, it's not.
Okay. Okay, then we,
Do you want to see the presentation?
Yeah, I think it's very important that I don't want to say start over, but there's been a reset here for this building, this committee.
I mean,
new
all
board.
I'm talking about, all I did was talk about how the village would afford it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that, because one way or the other. we need to see that.
So, do you want that on an agenda?
Let's do it on a separate agenda item, when you have time to look at it. And
you want to do it next month?
I just
Yeah,
have to,
yeah.
I just have to find it in
Yeah.
my,
Let's do it next month, there's no reason way. That would be helpful. I mean, anything like that to us new people about how far you've gotten. Because that's the biggest thing I hear is how we're gonna pay for this. Coming after 2 years of tax increases. So, that's
Well,
a
it
big
was-
thing for me to understand.
I think that during the process of after the budget meetings and after everybody got their tax bills and when we decided to put it on hold, the response from our residents was that I think the overwhelming thing was that it was too large. And that was what, and honestly, it was because there was a rendering of it in the Pulse. And they actually saw it.
right, the Pulse had it before we did,
And we had never put it
which was a
in,
problem.
but they hadn't, we hadn't included it in any meeting packets. Because when we do meetings like that, everything is done that way. So nobody sees anything, there's no files, there's no digital anything for any of our residents to see unless they come.
We did, the board did agree to have the architect redesign the building, and redesign it, and then we brought that redesign forward. The board did vote and approve that redesign plan.
The redesign was taking it from 150 people in the meeting room to 75.
So we could present that to you so you can see what the board.
Yeah, I think it would be important for both me and Bridget. And then, you know, right? I think it would be very important. So, yeah, let's talk about it again.
So where do we go now from now that we had the ad hoc committee, now that committee is saying, hey, we get why you chose that before, but we truly feel that the old Parks and Rec building site is the site we should be using. So now what does the board do with that now?
We have decisions to make.
Does that go to the next meeting? We make a choice? Do we put it back to the Parks Committee?
My assessment is to go back to Parks Committee, but I don't know how everybody else feels about that. If you want to try and, I don't know what else, what more we're gonna do or.
Yeah, I don't know either, because Parks approved it. Parks made a
But the board
recommendation
can
to
say
the
no
board.
and send something back. I mean, we've done it before other times.
So if that's what we want to do, should we
It
have a
went to the
discussion
board
here and then
board
push it
wouldn't
back?
approve it.
Is that the right thing to do?
Right.
Send it back.
The
I think
board
one
sent it
thing
back.
that complicates all of this is the issue we have with the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Plan, which has been sent to Parks to address.
And we did get a letter from the DNR, saying, look, you gotta solve this problem. So we're in violation of the grant that we have in Knowles Mills. So we have to figure out, do we pay that money back? Do we come up with a parking lot somewhere else or some other recreational?
It doesn't have to be a parking lot. We've already established that.
Yep, or some other
Right,
recreational
and we have other
amenity
property
like I
that
was
can
saying.
convert.
So we have those discussions too, which play into this.
Yeah.
But
So then we
so
should-
Parks Committee has those discussions already, and those discussions affect where this building ends up, if we can use the library lot next to the library or not. Shouldn't Parks be looking at it as a big picture item and work through those two things together? Because one's, it's gonna be a building or a parking lot, and then the other one's gonna be, do something somewhere else. But they should, if we only have half of the picture here and half of the information, how are we supposed to vote? I mean, Parks should vote on it, right?
Well,
Yeah,
Parks
it's on
votes and then it goes to the board.
Right, I think they should be looking at the two projects together, though, if they affect
I don't
each other.
disagree.
So what we should probably do is at the end of the meeting, refer it to Parks, because Parks is already
Looking
dealing
at
with
the
the
other
Knowles
things at the
Nelson
same time.
issue.
Yeah,
All right. 7A, Creating the Technology and Telecommunications Committee. This is something I talked to Vlad and Julie about a couple weeks ago. Dug into a couple things technology-wise at the village that didn't make sense to me. And it's absolutely not my role to go in there and say, well, this doesn't make sense to me. So as much as I don't want to create another committee, the way to set direction is to set up a committee and make those recommendations. So that's how this came to be. You know, I think that we need to have a strategy, like all of the village is doing IT wise, because we were not doing that. Yeah, I don't want to get into details on it, but there's a couple things I found that were just a little frustrating. And like I say, the way to do this is to have a committee and make recommendations that way.
So, I mean, my big question is why? What is it that you're seeing that we need to create another committee for, pay 3 people for? It's not an ad hoc, it's ongoing. Convince me.
Well, I guess let me go with one example. When I went down to the marina, and I've always wondered, like, okay, well, and this is getting in the weeds, and there's no way for me to do this without getting in the weeds. So I'm not trying to drag you down there, but there's 2 different Wi-Fi systems there at the marina. And I saw them like, okay, well, what's going on with these? And I finally dug and I asked the installer of the equipment, like, what's going on with this? And I asked Dave and said, yeah, that equipment got unplugged and replaced entirely. So there's equipment there that I was actually talking to Fall Fest to say, okay, well, what can we do to get communications for Fall Fest? I asked Dave, can I use your Wi-Fi? I see that you've got this particular kind of access point that I'm very familiar with. I do cloud manage with them all the time. Can I just roll that out? And that led me to ask the question of the guy who installed it, hey, what's going on with this? He's like, it's unplugged. I'm like, what do you mean it's unplugged? He's like, it's been unplugged for 2 years. So instead of augmenting that network, it was just completely left abandoned and replaced with something different, which isn't a good plan. And we have got a lot of fragmentation in how the Wi-Fi is managed. There's no reason that you couldn't have one standard platform to manage the Wi-Fi at the village hall, at the village admin building, at the marina here. It would be relatively simple to say for Fall Fest weekend, say we're going to have the Fall Fest emergency network. Click a button, deploy it, goes to all of the access points. So if you're near any one of those buildings, anything that's got an access point like that, you could connect to it. And while Wi-Fi connectivity isn't the same as cellular connectivity, there's a lot of things that work that way. Your iMessage will work. And as people have come to experience through the Cellcom outage, there's some things you can still communicate and get around even if you don't have cellular connectivity. So that's where this came to be. And then also looking at the number of fiber outages we've had, there was another one this last week. Probably didn't notice because it was between 2 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the morning. There was another Charter outage. We are wholly dependent on Charter for our connectivity. If Charter has a problem, if there is a fiber gets cut down near Algoma by a brush trimmer, like it did last fall, we're disconnected. I mean,
But that's why I thought we have a $3.3 million contract with Bertram.
so this is looking at the municipal side of it. That's not, I'm not looking at the provider side. It's saying, what should the village do for itself?
Okay, but if this is deployed, if Bertram is deployed, according to their plan, aren't a lot of the issues solved? I understand you're talking about, you know, when all of our buildings and stuff.
Let me just, like, say Parks, you wanna talk about bands playing on the bandstand, so you guys talk about it, and then you figure out a plan. I've sat in so many of these meetings, I remember when COVID happened and how big of a joke it was, and it wasn't anybody's fault because nobody knew what they're doing, maybe Nate could have done it, but how hard it was to get anything going. Then the direction, and then the lack of Wi-Fi and Zoom, and this, if we actually had a couple individuals that have some intelligence and technology to help oversee that and help pick people, just like Parks helps pick people to do projects, I think that makes all the sense in the world. This world isn't getting less of this, it's getting more of this.
Right.
And we're blind there. I mean, no offense to any of you, maybe you guys are super techies, I'm not. Yeah, and I don't expect them to be, right? So if we can have a resource and a crutch and hey, this is the problem I'm having, and they know the people to contact and they can get the bids, just like we do for everything else in this village, it just makes sense. So I don't think staff should be dealing with this unless we hired somebody
gosh,
that,
no.
yeah, exactly. So what do they lean on?
Well,
They
so
call a
then
guy,
they make
and maybe
bad
they call another
decisions.
guy, and it's,
They may not bad decisions, but
no, I'm not blaming anybody
They
for
may not-
anything. They're doing
maybe
everybody's
they
doing the
don't
best they
make the
can.
most informed decisions.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's blind spots everywhere, every company, every community, everything. That's why people have technology officers. That's
Yeah,
why they
yeah,
have,
it's-
depending on, and I think that as technology becomes more and more important, it is important to have people that are on the committee that know what they're doing, that are not necessarily, I don't care, any trustees on that committee, unless anybody wants to raise their hand. and
Well, I
tell
think
me
Nate
that
has
they
to
are-
be on it.
know
It
something
is
about
something.
technology,
Well,
besides Nate.
I disagree with that, and I'll
Nate can
tell
be
you
on there.
why.
I don't want to be on there. I'm not making decisions about stuff I don't know anything about.
You
No
learn,
way.
you know, emergency management, you know, when I was
Oh,
on there, I had
you're right.
an interest on it, and you learn.
There should be a board representation on
Because,
Right,
and that's in my notes, it says that there, you know, would be no requirement, but I think it's really important to have a trustee on any committee just for the communication.
Nate.
So I'm not saying who,
So, no, I get what you're saying, because as it's written, it just says there's no trustee. And my position on that, which is a little bit different than yours, is that's the board's responsibility when they approve the committees. And I think that largely it's going to be, but I think another thing that staff brought up is, okay, if you don't have somebody that knows IT, do you really want to have a board representation on there? And it's a fair question. If you're just looking for people with expertise, you probably don't. But to your point, do you want that communicated back to the board?
Yeah.
That's very fair. And I think the other thing that I look at is single points of failure. We have a lot of single points of failure in people and providers and a lot of things. There was a guy who installed internet in Alaska who went on and listened to an hour-long presentation years ago going on about how you can't have a single point of failure. His perspective is because you can't get anywhere because you're leaving something alone for 6 months. So if there's a single point of failure, it's just done. So that's the other thing I look at it here, saying removing single points of failure. The other thing that happens a lot in IT is vendor lock-in, where I don't think that we've got enough documentation to say, okay, we want to have somebody else work on this, not just take it over, but even work on it. That's not really viable right now. That's a concern for me.
Well, there isn't a consumer that owns a phone or has cable that isn't familiar with vendor locking. So that's kind of the drill. And they do the same thing happens at the municipal level. You should be smart about it, and I can tell you, I'm not, so.
So I just want to clarify a little bit, this isn't to have a person to call when we have problems, we have people for that. This is to develop that strategic plan to say, all of you departments are going to use this, this is the recommended vendors, this is, all your phones shouldn't be on a contract, you know, and trying to get cohesiveness throughout, instead of what we have found is, oftentimes you'll have departments going off and doing their own thing and they're not coordinating.
there's a cost savings when you coordinate.
Yeah.
There's also, efficiencies, better product when we're all agreeing to use the same. So you almost have to have a committee or a consultant look at it and make those recommendations that, hey, we've looked at everyone's XYZ, and this is how it should happen moving forward. Another thing was the whole cybersecurity aspect. We have no plans in place whatsoever. We have nothing. So that's another part of it is, sorry to say that out loud, but it's true. I think everybody knows that. But the other part of it is this committee looks at it and says, okay, what should we be doing to address some of these concerns that municipalities have?
Well, we talked about that yesterday afternoon at utilities and how, I think Ken is gone now, the people from the county, on how they had, from CISA come up and evaluate, the security of their polling places. They also did other things. Their wealth of information is, vast, and we talked about utilities, of contacting that person, having him come to the utilities committee. So, I mean, I think that contact should also be made here pertaining to this.
Right, so that's a homeland security element where you look at your buildings and your operation, I should say so much your operations, I suppose it does to a certain extent, to see how are they, are you addressing potential threats? Are you designed that you are keeping facilities in public safe? Now, I remember back in the day, years ago, Homeland Security would not allow any shrubs along buildings because attackers could be hiding in there. And you go past a lot of municipal buildings and you'll notice there's no greenery in front because Homeland Security had recommended that all the shrubs be removed around buildings.
So if those two committees work together, that sounds like a good idea.
I think it's gonna end up touching only the cyber component.
Yeah,
It
that's what
doesn't
I
make
mean.
sense to go anywhere else with that. but-
100%, so
Yeah.
ultimately,
It's not a-
the technology piece affects both.
Yeah, the other one's not a committee, it's just like Denise was saying, it's a group that can come in and do the assessment for you and make recommendations.
So we need a motion to approve this. Or you still want to discuss?
No, I was just gonna say,
With
do
a
we
board
want to
member.
change it with a trustee?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I was gonna say that,
Thank you.
yes, I agree. Communication is important.
So is it one trustee and two stakeholders, or is it a trustee and three stakeholders?
I like odd numbers on communities.
Yeah, I was gonna say odd numbers. The reality is we're gonna be hard pressed to fill that. I mean,
I'm fine with two.
Yeah,
I've reached out to Jerry Aaron's and he said, maybe, let me know what the time commitment is.
Another recommendation for you.
Sure.
So I'll move that a technology and telecommunication committee is created with one board member and two stakeholders.
Okay, motion by Housing,
second.
second by Kadanko. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then amending the bylaws relevant to the same committee.
Right, so whenever you create a committee, we have to amend the bylaws, so it would be for the board bylaws and the committee bylaws, which are attached in the packet.
There would be the one modification where.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll move that the bylaws for the hold on, technology committee be added as amended.
Motion by Housing, second by White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, on to 8A, conditional use permit.
Okay, so in your packet, you'll see we do have a conditional use permit application for Carl Orbach. This did go to Plan Commission. They are recommending approval. They only have one condition on it, it is regarding a shed that is on the property. So with that, if there's questions, I can answer them. Mr. Orbach is here as well in case there are some questions. But Plan Commission did recommend it be issued.
So moved.
Motion by Housing,
Second.
second by Shampoo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, on to 8B.
Okay, AP is for Richard and Jeannie Hoffman, who are here as well in case there are questions. This is a bit of an odd one. This was approved years ago, I shouldn't say years ago,
But it was approved, I think, in 23 maybe. When I started working for the village, the project was kind of in the end phases. We were just talking about a road, but the plan commission had approved or had reviewed the building plans, site plans. The only issue they still had discussion on was a road development agreement event, or the project eventually got approved. They board approved a development agreement. Mr. Hoffman did not, for various reasons, was not able to get the permit and get the project started. So he came back this year with the same plans. The only change was one of the hotel units is now a manager's quarter, so he has staff space on site. And it went through plan commission. They recommended approval to the board. But one issue that did come up was after the plan commission had looked at it, was the height of the building, because the building does exceed the 35 feet in height. So I do have, this is one where we had additional correspondence on. As I said, Skip Heiler, who is on our plan commission, did send a letter, so hopefully everybody was able to review that. And he expressed concerns with the height, have recommended perhaps this goes back to the plan commission. And then Mr. and Mrs. Hoffman did send some photos, so you could see the site and what it looked like, that it was heavily wooded, I think is what they're trying to show us. Maybe Richard can clarify that. So I'm just gonna pass around the photos that we had received from the Hoffmans.
So
today.
is Skip's letter correct when he states the height is 45 feet?
I believe the back of it is 44.
43.
43.3.
Okay, that's way over. And it was really amazing that Skip went through, pulled all of those old minutes where we talked about it being too tall. It was stated that it would be addressed and then got lost in the shuffle. I mean, we cannot be over 8 feet higher than what our code says.
Yeah, what I could tell from the old minutes when I looked at them was that the interim zoning administrator that you had did raise it to the committee, but I don't think there was anything done about the height. The committee and the board went on to approve it at the height that it was drawn.
Well, that's
Skip
back
is
when
here
we,
too.
is that back when we allowed grade and we're going off grade and now we don't allow that anymore? Or is that kind of the difference? I mean, that is, you know, for a long time, everything in this village, it was, here's grade level, you go 35 feet above, you gotta walk out. I mean, is that why you don't remember?
I don't remember the specifics of it. I mean, even reading this, it was like, I was trying to recollect reading the minutes.
Who did the code change that much in 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, in my neighborhood, I can only build 24 feet now. Personally, I think buildings should be higher. I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with consistency. And there's not a lot of that right now in this village, in my opinion.
So the
So if
code,
we're 35 for everybody, we're 35 for everybody. Even the people you just made 24 feet. We're 35 for everybody, we're 35 for everybody.
there's a reason we have code.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me that we're picking and choosing where and when. And if anywhere, the business area should be higher, not lower.
We were
I mean-
trying to protect the view of the harbor
I-
as a historical district now.
The Yaco has.
Well, I don't
Guys,
think-
we're not talking about.
I'm just saying the inconsistency is something that I can't stand. So if it's 35, it should be 35 for everybody, unless we want to let some people be higher. We probably shouldn't make anybody be lower. That's not
So-
fair.
I think what it comes down to is what does the code say in this area? And it's not a matter of how the height was measured. Because there was a little change this year on how we interpret height from grade, but that's, it's not that. It is just that it is really 43 feet tall and it always has been. Now, what culpability do we have for having to get this far? And then saying, whoa, it's 43 feet, we just noticed it's 43 feet.
So Julie, did you say that's when we didn't have a zoning administrator, we didn't have an administrator and we had hired that company? They were the one reviewing it?
Right, when Amy was helping. She had pointed it out in a staff report that the building exceeded 35 feet, but then I can't see where the plan commission or the board did anything about that. And Skip, I don't know, did you see anything else in there?
I did not find anything specific.
It's kind of like it was
Because
raised.
things were broken up, it was kind of hard to go through multiple.
Yeah, it's like the issue was raised, but then
It got lost in the shuffle
Nothing
because
happened with it.
normally that's a huge issue with plan commission. I mean,
Yeah, I think I agree with the letter. We should send it back to planning. Yeah,
Can we send it back to plan if plan has approved this? Is it?
Wouldn't that be up to point?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Attorney Bill Woodward, I'm Bruce and Roper. I represent the Hoffmans. I think it's a matter of vesting. If the village changes the way that they are calculating over a period of time, and at the time that it was originally approved, whoever was doing it, looked at the ordinance and said, I approve it, then he's vested, they're vested in that. You can't then later on say, well, we're gonna change the way that we calculate it, because this does go down, and if you take it at ground level, it's only 33 feet,
In your legal opinion, how long does vested last for?
less for as long as the project.
But what if the project isn't started by the time it was
Yeah.
supposed to start?
And what if the project?
Let's also be careful, we have the village attorney.
I'm just asking his
Let's-
opinion. I'm not taking his legal advice.
Okay.
I'm asking what the.
Okay.
Trust me, I'll answer
Development
anything.
agreement is, we don't have a development agreement anymore.
That's the issue on the agenda, is only the development agreement. The development agreement has been approved by my clients after discussion with Attorney Nesbitt, clarification, and we are at the point, that's the agenda item today. Whether or not the development agreement should be approved. Instead, we're talking about something entirely different. So, I think folks should be on the development agreement. There was unanimous consent at the planning commission. It was approved years ago. And now, today at the 11th hour, clients are sitting here having to go back and justify why something happened a couple of years ago. And I think that they are vested. Vesting has changed actually over a period of time. But we now have a statute that specifically says, once you start the process within the municipality, however the ordinances are stated and interpreted at that time.
Skip also stated that under section 66.1520, page 167, line 11 of the code, is after the proposed development agreement offer has expired, should a landowner wish to proceed with the project in the future, they shall begin the application process. And he also highlighted that in that letter.
Go ahead, Skip, I saw your hand up there.
I was just wondering if this is a spot where the village attorney can help us interpret some of the code.
I don't think.
So
this is a-
he's my next call because he had his hand up after you.
That's
So
all I'm
Randy?
asking.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is really where you want to. Why can't we just? No, it's not. It is not. You want to refer it to project.
So let me get the determination from Randy on that and then I want to make sure we can refer it back to planning at least. We've got the village attorney here, let's utilize it. So
First of all, there has been some question raised recently by the Board of Appeals, Board of Zoning Appeals, with respect to the manner of measurement of the sloping site and how that's done. And I know the Board of Appeals in that case granted a variance because there was a real question about how the interpretation was made of those sloping sites. And so that allowed a structure more than 35 feet based upon the way the village used to measure the sloping sites. But in any way, in any event, beyond that, this is here for approval of development. The conditional use permit is approved by the plan commission, right? There isn't a corresponding approval by the village board of the conditional use permit. Once the plan commission approves the conditional use permit, it's considered approved. So if that permit is still valid, if it's still in existence and hasn't expired, that permit's been approved. Now it's a question of whether the village board is going to approve the development agreement, which is what's before it. And as I see it, if the village sends this back for reconsideration of that conditional use permit, we have a legal liability that we're creating.
So
I'm not gonna say whether it's, I'm not gonna render an opinion right now as to whether it's vested or not vested. Attorney Woodward may well have a point. It may be vested rights and it may not be vested rights. But the fact is that the village plan commission approved the conditional use permit. And if that permit has not expired, that permit remains in existence, and pulling that permit one way or another is going to create a legal liability for the village.
So making a determination based on this 43 feet that we're now aware of, is that a legitimate reason to make it to vote against that at this point?
Not as to the development agreement, because the approval of the plan with the 43 feet, 43.5 feet, was already made. That's not an issue that's before the village at this point. And if we try to backtrack, we're going to create a legal liability here.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
Can you give me a moment?
Sure.
Just looking for something.
That's a question.
Sure.
Sorry, I just want to let you guys know too. We're all seeing this, like, we're not on the planning commission, so we're just seeing this, so we're not swaying one way or the other, we're just asking questions to figure it out, so please don't feel attacked or whatever it is. Was a conditional use permit granted for the height of the building? Is that what we're saying?
It actually didn't, looking back at the plans, it didn't really show the height.
No, it shows height of elevation off the water, is that right? Because it says the eaves at 111 feet. The one I'm looking at right now, that was sent in. So it's, I think it's super confusing what the height of the front and the back.
This one doesn't have the water.
There's no water.
No, there's no water.
No, I know there's no water, but the printout I'm looking that was in our packet today says eve height 123 feet 4 inches. Second floor 111 feet 8 inches. So this clearly isn't the height off the ground. So it's super difficult to determine what is the height off the
Well,
ground.
the ground shows the 89 feet and the eve height of 123.4, so just by subtracting that is where you get that number.
It's ground elevation.
Yeah.
They're doing an elevation above
Sea level, right, that's what I mean, above the water, above sea
Oh,
level.
okay.
That's what I mean by above the water. Sorry.
Water, sea level.
I was
But
confused.
so what's the height of the front versus the back? I'm
Sure.
just curious.
33 feet in
On the front?
Nick,
So
That's
that's
street
part you're
level.
seeing for
I
the
have a-
street.
Patrice?
It's
I have
under
a
30.
different
It's
Well,
under
I'm
35.
Hold on a second, Patrice?
I just have a different question. Has the Department of Transportation approved this entrance and exit here? It's a lane, it's not even a road. I know that the Hendricksons are very upset about this project, and it's very unsafe. It's on a crest of the hill. We've already had a couple of fatalities on that curve, just so everybody's aware of that. Has the Department of Transportation given it the okay?
So the road issue was the big issue last time. They don't need the DOT approval because it's an existing access point. It's a private road access, part of it's private, accessing onto the state highway, but it's an existing access, so the DOT didn't have to weigh in on that. One of the requirements was they did have to make some alterations to the road to make sure it was safer. They had to put some side fog lines on it and stuff, if I remember right, to make sure that people driving there at night would be able to tell the edge of the road, see the edge of the road.
but it wasn't wide.
No, actually, originally we wanted them to widen it, and then we ended up changing the code so that it was widened. And the driveway did meet the revised code.
So, this is what I was looking for, which is not necessarily words in the development. But all the drawings are part of the development agreement. Right?
Okay. What are you looking at?
If you don't like if you don't, and that's why I don't know where to go from here. If you don't like the look of it, because it is part of, all the drawings are part of the development agreement. Is that, do you know what I'm trying to get at, Randy? I can't put the words together very well, I'm sorry.
If it's the aesthetics you don't like, not the dimensions? Is that what you're saying?
Not sure where you're going with this.
Because there's pictures in here of what it is.
Right.
Which gives a height perspective on how it sits on the property. If it shows the architecture, because that is part of the development agreement, could you say, can the height still become the issue because the drawings are in there that shows the height? Even though it's the development agreement. It's not just the words on the paper. A design is in here.
No, I understand where you're coming from, I think, but the fact is, the plan commission is the body that's set to approve, or that under the ordinances approves conditional use permits. And they did so. So now it's a question of approving the development agreement, which is called for, and that doesn't throw the conditional use permit back up for grabs again. It's still an approved conditional use permit. If this body chooses to reject it based upon a height issue, I'm anticipating we would have a legal liability issue. What Denise has mentioned, maybe one of our defenses in that, that all of these plans are incorporated into the development agreement also. And this body didn't like the development agreement because of the height. Certainly could be a defense we would raise. But I can state that the fact that there's a conditional use permit that's approved, and if we backtrack on the conditional use permit, we're likely to end up in a lawsuit.
So
then I,
Sorry, Denise. So there was an approved conditional use permit for it? Randy?
That's what I'm understanding from what I've read.
Okay. And if the height of the front of the building is under 35 feet and we granted, I mean, the planning commission granted a variance for a sloping structure in the past.
no,
So,
plan commission does.
Well, I
not.
guess that's not even what we're voting on. I don't, if it's already been approved, I don't see anything wrong.
Chad, then I wanna-
Yeah, I just
Looks to me
think,
like-
I think we gotta own our mistakes and quit reaching and grabbing for straws and.
Well, but I just want to, because having driven, ridden down that road, as we all have many times, I think Skip's point is that, all the trees are gonna be obviously taken down in that lot, so.
No, that's not correct.
So some of the trees will be taken down to build the building.
And
Am I
there's a
correct?
requirement that they have to put light trees back. in.
Right, and they'll be,
Same height.
I bet you they'll be taller than the ones the village put next to my house.
they'll be 25 or 30 feet tall.
Oh, don't they?
Julie,
There is no requirement on that.
Julie had
Yeah.
said something here.
Right, so the photographs that I see
Louise, hold
here,
on.
I'm just, the,
I'd like Julie to speak here.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
just
sorry.
want to clarify for the record, I don't know what happened before me, but I know since I've been here, there was no conditional use permit, just to clarify that for the record. It was the development agreement that was approved.
It's a permitted.
so we're approving the development agreement. Okay, So I think that, Skip's point is that the sight lines, when you're driving from Open Heart, for instance, you're going up the hill, and it's likely with the height of the building that you would see the back of the building. Likely, I don't know, but you would, if I could finish. But the photographs that I'm seeing are at street level, looking straight on. So I don't know that you get a really good perspective, and I don't know. Because, I mean, there was a short-term rental back there, there was a pond back there, very, very, very familiar with the lot. So possible, maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But that's, I think, was the concern.
So, yes, thanks.
I question the validity of vested. So this was approved how many years ago? Development agreement was never signed. It came back, and then the Hoffmans stated, well, that they were concerned that they wouldn't be able to get it done in 2 years. And we determined on giving them an additional month or two to find out what is going on with tariffs and lumber prices and everything else like that. So are they vested?
That's a Randy question.
I'm not in a position right now to.
And I'm not asking you to answer it. It's rhetorical.
Yeah, I don't think we should put Randy on the spot when he hasn't seen the file.
So Randy, what you were saying before about the conditional use, there was no conditional
It
use.
sounds like it wasn't a conditional use. It was
So that changes what you
permit.
said.
No, same thing.
Well-
Permit's been approved.
Permit's been approved, okay. So you think the same?
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
so any more discussion?
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. So this was approved before. It's a permitted use.
Yes.
The height at the time it was originally approved was okay.
We never addressed it.
Well, if plan voted yes on it, it was okay.
It was
right.
overlooked.
It was overlooked, yes.
But that's not their fault.
Correct.
Okay, I'm not
Understand.
blame, I'm just throwing it out.
Yep.
It was approved just because they didn't start when they were supposed to, doesn't void anything that already happened, right?
It does void it. Because it
Does it?
expired.
According to our code.
Yes. It expires, you have it for 2 years.
I just have a hard time saying no when it was already approved. And I get it, like, okay, if it were 10 years from now, I'd be like, okay, that's kind of ridiculous, you can't wait that long and then expect the code to never change. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like it was that long to me. I don't know. I have a hard time sending them back for something that was already approved before.
I think one of the reasons why, and Richard, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the reasons why it wasn't signed within that original 2 years was because of the road issue.
Correct.
Because the original approval had talked about, they had to widen this road and.
24 feet
Which
plus
meant
3
taking, yep, and they had to take down all these mature trees,
Correct.
like canopy trees to do that. In the meantime, the code changed. That said, roads of a certain width could be used. Private roads could be a certain width, is what it basically changed. Which helped them work.
So
in
it
their
got less
favor.
restrictive.
Yeah.
So
Can I just say there was-
did that delay from the road, was that what delayed would you
That's-
have started
Absolutely.
without the road?
Yeah,
See,
we
now I
would
have
have
a
had
hard
to move
time saying
utility
no.
poles and a ton of mature trees going down that road, which we didn't want to do.
I mean, not that I want to see more high-rise anything, but if it was okay and it's a permitted use and you were granted the right to do it, I have a hard time saying, no, sorry, we changed the rules, you can't do it anymore. I think that's real nitpicky, but that's my opinion.
Luis, do you have something to add? Okay.
We make a motion.
Yeah, a motion.
I motion to approve the development agreement.
Okay, motion by White,
Second.
second by Kadanko.
Probably should roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, that's a state name, so Harf was yes,
sorry, White, yes.
Kanaker, yes.
Bell, yes.
Stay.
Nelson, yay.
Campo, yes.
So that was 6 yeses and an abstention. Okay. All right, on to 8C. Development agreement amendment.
Okay, so you saw in the packet, the letter that was what happened when the board referred the Luna View matter back to the plan commission. Plan commission decided to issue a letter to solicit input from the neighbors. And you have received in the packet, input from Bob and Martin, and then Jason Baker, Dunn, Watchenheim. And then, we did receive correspondence from members of the Yacht Club. And then from also, Sister Bluff Estates. So I'm gonna just summarize very briefly for the people, they didn't, because they were late correspondence, the public didn't get to see those letters. So I'm just gonna do a real quick summary. One from Sister Bluff Estates pointed out their biggest thing was, first, the noise of the construction has been constant. There obviously is a good reason that projects like this are put on hiatus during the June 30th through Fall Fest period, as this is when most people come to Sister Bay, including our owners. And then her second was they're concerned about the bright white roof, which is kind of like the side of the roof. They said currently the roof appears to be flat and painted a brilliant white sticking out like a very sore thumb in the surrounding woods. Simply, it looks awful from above is what she says. And she says, given these concerns, our position on the requested variance is as follows. We would like to have input on the need and plan to install some barrier plantings between the building and the condos above. And I just want to comment on that his site plan or his development agreement does require trees to be planted in there. We actually went through quite a bit of work, went through that approval process where we went out there and we counted every tree stump. He had to come up with a planting plan. So we do have that, which has to be completed yet. The roof needs to be modified so it blends in with its surroundings, something similar to the Yacht Club condominium rooftops. Just comment on that. I have heard other people complain about it, and I've actually talked to the owner about it, but that is what the plan commission and the board approved. They approved that design with that white, like I said, it's kind of like the side of the roof is white. Well, it looks horrible. I know, but that is exactly what was approved because I did pull the plans out.
Can you show me those plans?
Yes, I have this file here. Thank you. 3, construction activities should be limited to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays only. Like I said, that was from Susan Caldwell of the Sister Bluff Estates. The next one then was from the Yacht Club, and their main points were ongoing site concerns, which were a lack of adequate runoff controls and sediment barriers, improper and unlawful parking, disruptive noise. Concerns regarding timeline and scope was completion of the stormwater management system, site excavation and grading, installation of all retaining wall systems, construction of sidewalks, curbs, and the trash enclosure per plan, preparation and paving of the entire driveway and parking lot, installation of bollard lighting, stairs and railings, final landscaping and removal of all erosion control measures post stabilization. What they're requesting for a balanced resolution to make sure all of this happens, plus their concerns are addressed, is they feel Mr. Koki should provide an itemized detailed project plan, including precise timelines and milestones for drainage system completion, completion of site excavation and grading, completion of all site concrete work, sidewalks, stoops and pads, curbs, etc., driveway and paving work, retaining wall installation, final landscaping and stabilization. Says we understand that Mr. Koki has offered to defer exterior work until after Labor Day. If that is the case, we would not support work starting. We would support work starting only after Labor Day, starting September 2nd. contingent on strict oversight and inspection by village officials to ensure erosion control, safety, and construction standards. A strict daily work window limited from 9 AM to 4 PM Monday through Friday, with no work allowed on weekends or the Friday of Fall Fest. A mutually agreed and guaranteed end date that allows for completion this year, and all work prior to weather conditions prohibiting such completion. And that was from Mark Collins, the HOA president of the Yacht Club of Sister Bay. That's what I have.
So where are we with the last time
I do
that
not
we?
have, just some sort of a quick, I do not have the.
So we discussed this at the last meeting and we went back to plan commission, right? And what was decided there? To give him until,
To send out these letters, to survey the neighborhood,
Yeah.
to get input from them,
and decide.
and then it was on hold.
And what kind of extension?
But his development agreement for outside work is from what day to what day? He isn't allowed to work from June 30th to Fall Fest. Is that the current development agreement, as I understand it?
Correct.
Guys, this isn't complicated. It's already in the
That's
development
what
agreement.
everybody's, you know,
The
everybody.
Oversight, no offense, Al, it's not gonna be done. You haven't overseen that project. I got a picture today with 2 illegal parked box trucks that were 40 feet long with your car in the driveway. You're there and you're letting this happen. And I don't blame the construction guys. They gotta park somewhere and they're just doing the best they can, but the fact that nobody's managing this project, or when something is complained about or not done properly, and when you're there, you just watch it. I mean, I have a picture with your vehicle there and 2 illegal cars today. I mean, it's today. Yeah, which makes it even worse that you're there and not making these guys follow. That shows me you're incapable of doing this. And it's okay, I got a lot of weaknesses too. But there's nothing for me to believe that you're gonna do a good job. Because just today.
So
You saw those 2 big box trucks, right? Parked illegally?
Absolutely. So
And did you tell them to move?
100%.
And when they're there for 4-hour periods of time, they just didn't listen to you?
Well, what they did, they were unloading all the appliances. The appliances that they're unloading, there was different stages in each truck.
Sure.
So they were going back.
And then you should have said, I'm really up to this in the village right now because I'm not following any of their rules. You guys gotta go park at the Shopko building until you're ready for this truck. You should have done better,
I
buddy.
did, but there was nowhere.
There's nowhere?
Where? They couldn't park in the, by across from the beach, they couldn't park there.
And they should be parking there. That's why they shouldn't be doing this work right now during our tourist season.
So Denise just asked a good question. Why can't they pull up the driveway?
What's that? Because they were taking out the appliances and they came in stages. So the refrigerators, the dishwashers, they're all in different parts of the truck, so they were going back and forth.
Why can't they drive up the driveway?
Because
That's not an answer.
They can, they're both parked there right now. They're both parked in the driveway right now.
Well, because
Nothing. They're parked in the road all day illegally.
Oh, I know it.
And he was there on site. After numerous warnings, I think, about this.
And I don't know how many people, Chad, July 4th morning, I got a lovely ding on my phone
You're
from
bad at driving
Chad.
that truck.
And it was, I think it was Al himself operating some kind of lift, picking up stuff that shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning, throwing it in the dumpster, missing some of it. After we had just talked at Plan Commission about the concerns about not doing anything before 9 o'clock. And then this is shortly after 8 o'clock. And Chad has video of
It's
it.
just disrespectful, man. I mean, it's
I
just
didn't
disrespectful.
know that the forklift was considered a large piece of
Do
equipment.
you think we want to hear beep, 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 beep on July 4th at 8:14 in the morning in America? No, we don't. Nobody wants to hear that. None of the neighbors want to hear that. None of the guests at the yacht club want to
So
hear
I
that.
guess what I'm hearing is a consensus. What do we want to do with this?
So our choices are, A, you have a moratorium till Fall Fest. Right?
Well, that's part, he's already has that in his development agreement.
So we do nothing. That's one option.
We do nothing, right?
But that development agreement expired, which is why he's.
Oh, this is a new development agreement?
No, so what happened is before the development agreement expired, he came in and he said, hey, I'm not gonna meet my deadline. So then it went to plan commission to amend the development agreement to give him more time. So as of right now, it's expired because we haven't given him the more time yet.
There was a conversation about an
So this
extension
is
to the end
actually-
of June and then.
So what we're really talking about is still an amendment, even though it technically expired. He did request that and apply for that before it expired to set a deadline for completion.
And it did come to the board last time and we sent it back because it wasn't clear on hours you were allowed to work and days of the week you were, there wasn't enough, it wasn't detailed enough and we weren't allowed to change it at the meeting.
I think we are under
So we sent it
consensus to send it back to say, finish up, get that road so you can park your vehicles and do your inside work for the rest of the season. And I'm all for that. I was all for that. Grade it, get that part done so you can park your vehicles up there and not illegally. I mean, you literally had a van for a couple hours angled blocking that whole intersection and dump trucks going from your entrance all the way to the beach. This is a tourist town. This is a company town. And there's kids walking by. It's not, you haven't shown anything there to show that you're doing a really stand-up kind of job and you're just in a tough spot.
It was really tough to me because the appliances agree 100%.
There's been a lot of tough
As far as
days.
the large trucks, I agree. I think during the tourism, I talked to the excavator today. And it would be tough. I agree. I think from right now until Labor Day, it's busy. I don't want to have a liability.
It's busy till Fall
What
Fest.
happened today, I agree with you. I was trying my best, but those guys, they had to load the appliances because you're only there for today and part of tomorrow.
I get it. I get
tried,
complaints
Ken,
too and I
swear
show up
tried.
right away.
I know it looked bad, but I tried. The appliances,
A driver could have, a driver could have drove that truck somewhere, parked it, and you could have drove them back instead of having it parked on Mill for 4 to 5
I call the
hours.
question, Nate.
Yeah.
I'm producing stuff. Calling the question, that needs to move on.
Do we want to amend the agreement per the yacht club suggestion of,
Fall Fest, not before. None of the neighbors I talked to wanted it before Fall Fest.
So I reading through and I hear what you're saying, but reading through the letter that we got from, they're concerned that if they don't start till Fall Fest, then you start running into weather, like, I realize that, the ground isn't gonna freeze in October, maybe, but it isn't usually. So they're concerned about how much work are they gonna be able to get done, when the weather starts getting cold. And then, because what they're trying to avoid is anything in the spring of 26, which I get.
Did I read somewhere that there's and this is an estimation, I'm assuming, an estimated work time left outdoors of 2 weeks for retaining wall and all landscape?
That was something that was set up by Commissioner, I think it was 2 weeks approximately.
Well, except that I don't know how realistic that is.
Right, I think it'll be longer,
I mean-
but even if you started we did all the landscape for our entire house basically after Fall Fest and the weather was fine.
Oh, landscaping in the fall, I'm 100%
And
with.
the only thing you'd run into with a retaining wall is if it's freezing, the mortar can't set, but our guys did that too when it was snowing.
You can do that. I mean, you can pour concrete through the end of November typically.
It's important in winter now.
Yeah. Just costs more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's just trying to shut your project down. I think it's just really difficult to have all that going on when there's so
It's
many
been a
people there.
very difficult project.
Yeah, if I was woken up every morning with the beeping of an excavator, I think I would go insane. I mean, personally.
And that lift
And
truck,
I
what she
understand
needs to
parts
do this
of-
inside work beeps, and I get that, and I want you to get your
Okay,
shit done
so
too.
what we're saying here is
Yeah.
the extension should, the extended development agreement should permit work starting after Fall Fest.
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, outside work, of course, not
Yeah.
inside work.
Well, talk about a date, the Monday after Fall Fest, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's typically what a standard development agreement is.
Right.
But inside
As long as
work can
everybody
continue
understands it.
as long as trucks are not parked in the middle of the street.
Well, I mean, I had a client get a $750 ticket for parking in their own yard. I don't know what yours is worth then.
Okay, so it's the Monday after Fall Fest. Is he allowed to work weekends after Fall Fest?
No.
Whatever the standard is. I mean, that's it.
Well, here's the thing, I gotta tell you, I mean, the month of September is, from a visitor
Or in
standpoint,
October now.
or even October. The September and the first 2 weeks of October are bigger than June.
Well, that's
Or
why
they
we're saying
used to
Fall
be.
Fest.
Right.
We're
Yeah,
saying
so we're
Fall
saying
Fest.
Fall Fest.
We're at, but they were asking about weekends. Can you work
After,
weekends?
After
weekends
Fall
After Fall
After
Fest.
Fall Fest.
All right,
Well,
yeah.
the two after are really busy.
Well, I think you're complaining about locals, but okay. Whatever you want to do.
But it further complicates for people that live there because you have all of the tourist traffic as well. So yeah, it may be locals, but it makes it a lot more complicated because you have that much more traffic going on there.
Yeah.
I think excluding weekends.
Well, I think we should, whatever our standard is, then.
Yeah, whatever's consistent.
Yeah.
Includes weekends. He can work weekends. So same stipulations as normally on a development agreement. Just clarifying that it can't start until the Monday after Fall Fest. What is the completion schedule? Or when does it have to be done?
When can you have it done?
If we start after Fall Fest, I mean, I have, honestly, probably 3 or 4 weeks. I know I was asking for 2 or 3 before, but, you know, I would say 4 weeks to be safe.
So you better err on
They're all
the
telling me
long side.
2 or 3 weeks, but I mean.
How about by the end of 2025?
I think that's.
That's a good question. I'm the general manager of the yacht club. One of our board members is in the construction business. He's concerned about when asphalt plants shut down for the year. And if
November 15th.
November 15th, so if you're
Sometimes they're
delayed by
early.
more than a few days after your 4 weeks, what you're saying now, it could be that plants are shut down.
No. Do a good job, man.
You've got a roughly a month then.
Yeah, what, sorry.
Roughly a month then between the time after Fall Fest. and
For asphalt.
Yeah.
Everything else. is
I have one other question too, when that is, as it relates to, you know, we have some upcoming construction on Bluffside, and as it comes, and this has to do with drainage. Because in the letter that we received, I think you wrote the letter, I'm pretty sure, are you Mr. Collins?
No, he's our board
Okay.
president.
There was a,
Could we get your name and your?
Jerry Phelps, I'm the general manager.
okay, so there was a request that an itemized detail project plan include drainage system completion. And that drainage worries me there a little bit, and maybe because.
So let me just say that the village, when they approved Mr. Gokey's plan, they were very concerned about runoff coming out of the bluff.
Yep.
He had to install a stormwater system that, per the engineer, you would typically install in a subdivision.
Okay.
So
It's
his
massive.
stormwater, pardon me?
It's massive.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't
his
know, I just
stormwater
wanted,
It's
system
massive,
is,
especially with construction coming up on.
yeah, it's
Bluffside.
extremely overbuilt. It
Okay.
co- We required it. It was a lot of extra money, but we were also really concerned about water coming off and then going on to the yacht club as well. So his stormwater, he should never have any
No.
negative impact from that water coming off that site.
And I just want to say, you know, through this whole development, I'm sorry because when we were hammering, it took 8 weeks, and this is by far my toughest project ever. I mean, we really started framing November, we have 8 months into it, but and I know it got, you know, late start, but the hammering was incredible. This project was really difficult, and I am totally sorry for the noise with all the neighbors. I did try, I'm sorry about the trucks today. I know you don't think I tried, but I did check.
It's a lot of days, dude. That's the thing. And I'm not
Well, but
nitpicky,
it's
man. I
so
don't
hard.
wanna
I
be.
look at that site, you know, it's like, where do they park? It's very.
That's
difficult.
why you need somebody there to coordinate it all the
But I
time
do,
and
That's
say,
all I do. That's all I've been doing.
the next time just don't wanna park there.
Did you see
It's
me stand
illegal.
up-
Okay,
yeah,
this
did you
is-
see me
this-
stand
let's-
outside?
we don't-
That's all I'm doing is
We've
driving.
already had this conversation. Let's get
And
back
it's
to
just
it.
illegal parking in our village.
So this-
Chad, we've already had.
I know,
So
I
this
just,
would be, this would be a motion to amend the development agreement that, outdoor work can begin again after Fall Fest, following the normal guidelines that we have in the development agreement, but the entire project must be completed
complete by the end of 2025.
I'm good with that.
You can make
My
that
motion to approve
Motion by White,
that development agreement as amended.
second.
second by Berto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The top agreement.
The top agreement is pretty self-explanatory. We do these every year. This one, I've got forgotten about a little bit, so it is a little late, but basically this allows Mr. Sequest to maintain the cherries on our property or to harvest the cherries on there, but he's also managing the property to a certain degree for us, so the cherry trees are maintained. I saw Dick Burris had his hand raised.
Yes,
on this
Dick.
one.
Yes, Dick Burris. When we were working on sites, Julie did a nice job of, again, talking about that particular site of the Wolsey property and the borings that you did, which identified arsenic levels that were exceedingly high, which is unusual for Door County, unfortunately. That was a mixing site. So I went home that night and did significant research myself on arsenic levels and what appropriate. And what the answer was that arsenic levels are fine in construction, but they shouldn't be tolerated and shouldn't be allowed in fruit, the growing of fruit, or growing of vegetables. And not too far away, we have our community gardens, and then we lease this property to Mr. Sequest. And my question is the lease that we have hold this village harmless, and are we in any way culpable? We have, as many of you know, a significant problem in northern Door County with young people and cancer limits and levels. And that University of Wisconsin-Madison has done studies on that here, and I'm not really to say what it's about, but are we satisfied that we are not culpable to eventual or possible suits to the levels of arsenic in fruit from releasing of that?
Do we have protection in this contract? That's a really good question.
So let me just pull this up here. First of all, the majority of the cherries are nowhere near where there's arsenic. It's only one area, but it still is in that area. And we do have here, let me just look at it real quick. Randy, I know you don't have a copy of it in front of you.
It's page 125 in the packet if you're looking.
Is Randy looking at it?
Does anybody know if they know? Does Sequest know that we found arsenic? Because that study, I don't know how long they've been leasing that land, but the study was done when we were going to develop.
I don't know if they know specifically
That it's
here,
there.
but they own and lease orchards all over the
Right.
county.
But don't we feel like
And there's probably not an orchard that they rent or own that don't have these same issues somewhere on that land, because that's just what happened years ago.
Right.
They probably just haven't tested because it may be just easier not to know.
But if we know and we
Right.
say nothing, I feel like that's not okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Oh, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
my point, Denise. We are
Right.
in the pockets here.
Yeah, I think it's a great point.
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, Dick.
So the arsenic, just so everybody knows, is in this area here, this little one here, but I can certainly share that with Jim, just so he's aware of that.
Well, I
Just that area?
think the contract needs to be amended.
Yeah, I need to, but that's. not
To
really certain.
explicitly say that we are aware of this.
Yeah.
So I'm still
This is-
opposed to the contract, I think that's a really good addition to it. If I was gonna be for a contract, I'd want it to be in there. I just don't think that we should keep spraying the cherries in that area. That's my concern. I mean, I go out there and
It just walks in.
it does. I mean, like, I go out there and I breathe in plenty of it. They got that fogging machine out there, but that's. I don't think you can grow cherries without putting down substantial amount of chemicals.
No,
Which I think
they're
is a-
gonna get infested.
Well, I think those are great points, and I think we're this far with them, we got it, this is just 1 year, right? We
Yeah.
only do-
Well, this is going back, so like if, really, this is for harvesting that they're doing. right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, so we have to, we're going forward, this should be something Parks talks about and gets more research on and decides that this is what we wanna do.
So then, do we just say, don't spray this fall then? I mean, like,
I don't think you can tell them how to do
when
their
does
job
this,
right now.
when does this lease go to?
April,
Is it
No.
this one?
It ends this summer.
oh, this summer.
Can I just add
Yeah.
the sprays that we're currently applying are regulated and are, it isn't so much what they're spraying as what's on the ground. And
Yeah.
every year they have to file a crop management plan for that particular area, as they do all of it, and they have them throughout the county. But it is the contaminant in the ground that's my concern. Because we've identified that there's significant contaminant in that area and it leaches into other areas. I'm concerned with the gardens out there for people, we're allowing people to go and grow crops, and I think that be perfectly safe, I think we should bore that area and then identify to those people that are using that area to grow crops.
I understand what you're saying, Dick, but I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm not conflating the two though.
Well, we can just amend the contract to exclude the part where we don't have arsenic, which is amending the exhibit A. The A is really all we do.
Well, I think you were saying just to make sure that they're aware that just present whatever information we have, I think was your request, that was not.
I mean, wouldn't we put a clause in there to hold harmless against us, that knowing that, it's at your own risk to harvest these cherries and sell them a little bit more than us just telling them? Or not?
Well, we should certainly advise them if we know that there's
Yeah.
contaminants in the ground. I don't know that it's going to make a difference. The village itself sold 90 acres to the Sequist that was highly contaminated.
Right. Right.
And they're growing cherries and apples on it right now.
Yep.
It doesn't seem to make a difference, but in any event, since the village knows, we should make them aware of that in writing.
So
So we
motion
should-
to approve it, and also to make sure they are aware of it and receive a copy of the report.
That'd be great. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kadanko,
Second.
second by Berto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Motion carries.
So when we would normally review this contract, it would be in either December of this year or January of next year, right? We were late this year.
We try to do it in the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
like
yeah, I think
February,
Jim was
March.
just, it got piled up on his desk or something. Okay.
So they don't do anything after September 30th? Like they're not doing any maintenance in there?
I don't think they
Yeah,
are.
okay.
Well, I suppose, I'm trying
They
to
could
think what
prune
you
and stuff in
do.
the off season.
I think you do pruning in
Before
fall.
April,
Yeah.
in the spring, yeah. But, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
they look very pretty.
Okay. So we're skipping E for now? for this
Well, it says
meeting?
we need to talk about the rent, no?
It was removed from the agenda when we amended it,
But it says regardless of that review, the rent due on the lease should be discussed, no?
but we amended it. to allow-
That's not
Gotcha,
on the
I
agenda.
missed that, sorry.
Okay. 8F, the appraisal request for the post office project.
Okay, so we are at a time we have to renew our lease with the post office. The Parks Committee has been reviewing this. One of the things that the leasing agent does for, that helps the post office with these leases now is they charge a commission. And so we pay rent, so the rent plus the commission is kept at $25,000 based on the what they start saying is the value of our post office. This is the easiest way to say it. And so the Parks Committee was like, well, we need to get that appraised to see, because they thought it was worth more than what the leasing agent is telling us. They're saying they believe it's worth more than the square footage that you see here in the staff report. To do so, we would need approval from the board to allocate the money so we can proceed with an appraisal.
I don't think we're gonna win this one, and I know we talked about it at Parks.
We should know, though, we should know. If we're,
Okay.
let's know what we're doing for the federal government. I don't think that we should just roll
I'm fine with
over.
it.
When's the last time we had a appraisal?
Never.
Yeah, this just is probably us being responsible here and having one.
Fine,
Yeah.
that's fine, I
So
just,
if it's worth a lot
I thought it
more,
was gonna do something.
the post or the government pays us more to rent it.
Not necessarily.
We go back to
No.
that, and we say this is an appraisal.
Here's our appraisal, and they'll be
They
saying,
just threaten to
they'll say,
leave
that's
town."
nice, this is what we're gonna pay.
Okay, so we could make no more money than we currently do. We could make up to $5,000 more than we currently do, or 4,500, right? They cap it at 25,000.
Well, the annual, so they're saying right now, because of the building we have, they'll only pay $1,713.75 a month, or basically 80 cents a square foot, because of the type of building and property we have. And we're saying, no, we believe it's worth more than 80 cents per square foot, basically is what we're saying.
And then we pay the agent fee.
So what are, so we're paying.
And our mail comes 2 weeks late. Just kidding.
Well, that,
Hey, if you're listening at all.
You're never getting a piece of mail again.
I am totally screwed.
I love you
Yeah,
guys.
There go our taxes.
But we
Okay.
make $20,000 a year in rent on the post office. And if it's appraised at a higher value, they could potentially pay a higher price per square foot. We could make up to $25,000 a year.
we might be able to get more money from them. We
But they
absolutely
might not.
can't do that without an appraisal.
And the appraisal's 4,000.
No, $1,000.
So what's the,
If the last appraisal we did, when we were approached about Lagerquist and just for the record, Lagerquist, we were approached because somebody wanted to put a solar farm on the Lagerquist site. That's why the village was approached about buying the Lagerquist site. At that time, we did an appraisal. It involved two properties, because Lagerquist was the bigger property, and then the little one where the little red house is. That appraisal was about $1,000. So I just put in here, the last time we did it, it was about $1,000. In answer to your question, if the appraisal is higher, and if the US Post Office supports that, then we kick into a different rental bracket.
okay, so we can
No.
easily make it back in the first year if they agree that it's worth more than.
Right. Now, however, the post office, just like the DNR, when you appraise property through the DNR, the appraiser has to meet certain standards that the DNR requires. It's not your normal real estate appraiser. It's the same thing with the post office. So it could be kind of expensive, but we don't know.
Well, why don't we prove it up to a certain amount? If it's more than that, then it's gotta come back to us and see if it's worth it.
We're approving the appraisal.
Appraisal up to a
Up
certain
to
dollar
dollar
amount, and if it comes back at, oh, this guy's 10 grand, then maybe we decide we're not gonna get this appraisal. You know what I'm saying?
I'd say a little south of 10, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like.
I would say let's
we
approve it
can't-
up to $1,500 and trust staff to.
Yeah. And if they come back to us and say, we're just not finding anybody, then we can talk about it again.
I was gonna say 2,500.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll go with that.
Yeah, I think a little more.
I would vote yes.
And it's an asset that we talk often about,
Right.
relocating or moving or whatever. This is, for all those discussions we have, it's gonna keep coming up. It's probably good for us to know.
There's a very real chance we'll do the appraisal and the federal government won't give us any more money, but then we will know
Yeah.
what it is we're giving up.
Yeah, yeah.
And
like
if they do move out, at least we know what to charge whoever moves in there.
Mhm.
So,
So moved.
Motion by Berto with a cap of $2,500.
Yes, second.
Second by Kadanko. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I want to switch H and G around here. I think we should talk about H first and then kind of roll into G. So the May and June enforcement actions. This is something that Luis you'd asked about, something else, Chad you'd asked about it, so I'll let you guys take off from there.
So I just had a,
Go ahead.
Jen? Okay, so my question was about, the correspondence between the village and Happy Coffee. And the owner of Happy Coffee is Lily Orozco. So my question was, her being informed of the violation came a couple of weeks after, according to what she said, a few weeks after the violation had been reported. And so there was, and I understand this is not really about that at all. So, but my bigger question was that there were some questions that she asked that she didn't get answered, and that's what I wondered. And it was, she asked for a copy of the complaint, the form,
Let me
and,
stop you, so I can answer that right away, okay?
but let me just say one thing. Her correspondence was with Carla, and Carla didn't acknowledge that she'd asked. She didn't say yay, she didn't say nay, there was no, and this is not a Carla thing, it's just that it's the village, and there was no, we can't do that, or there was no, sorry, we don't have it, or anything like that. So that was a concern, that wasn't. And then I have a second question about the sandwich board, but go ahead.
So I spoke with Lily about this, and I told her that it was me. I said, I didn't file a complaint. I said, I drove past one day, I saw the signage. Julie and I, as Plan Commission Chair, Julie and I take care of signs. No signs go to Plan Commission. They haven't for years, because we tried to streamline it so people could get their signs sooner and not bog down the Plan Commission on smaller issues, I guess to say. So I told her it was me. She asked, and we had talked, I think, May 31st is when I told her. So I did not make any formal complaint. I called the office. I said, do I not remember? Did she get a permit? Did I sign off on that? It was a question, because I could not remember if I did or not.
Right, and I did ask Carla, why didn't you respond? And she said, to be honest with you, she already knew we had talked about it. I didn't think I had to. But it is clear Lily kept asking regardless.
It would have been, yeah, and it was Carla that said to Lily, I investigated a complaint that your door and sandwich sign were obtained without a permit and therefore not approved for public viewing. So here's my question about the sandwich board. So they've had a sandwich board forever. And there's her sandwich board, granted they changed the name, but the sandwich board was really, got beat up because of weather. So she needed a new sandwich board. So she gets a new sandwich board, she puts it out. That sandwich board is illegal. It's exactly the same size as the old one, but has to be removed because I don't know why.
Material?
The material was not right.
I don't think it was the same size. It was different material.
Everything
and the
was different
text and
about
the-
it.
And the
Okay.
text will, one of the things with sandwich board signs is if the text does not change, then the size of it works against the total amount of signage you can have. If the text can change every day, it doesn't count against that number. So it makes a
Right.
big difference, because her other one didn't count against her overall signage.
Mhm.
The new one was a metal frame, which we don't allow, and the text did not change. So now we had to count it against the amount of signage she can have, which she doesn't get much because that building is so narrow. And then she had the issue with the other sign, so she just basically had no square footage left over to play with.
Well,
So,
and it's all of those condominiumized properties that have to share all the signage square footage. It's, what's the guy's name in the back with the condos?
I know which one you mean.
Okay, yeah, so, and then
Okay.
the other place and her.
So then my third question is, when it was Skipstone, there was a graphic on the front door. And now it's Happy Coffee and there's a graphic on the front door. But that graphic has to be removed. So that's something else I didn't understand.
so when it was Skipstone, they only had the graphic on the door, but not on the top, like Happy Coffee's graphic is much bigger. But I
Not
will say,
anymore.
yeah, I will say this, I was not here at the time. I know Denise, you and I talked
I
briefly
talked to
about
Lily
it.
about this also, and I
And-
told her that I reread through the code, and I called her back and tried to answer all of the questions that she had. And I said, off the cuff, originally, I said, well, maybe it's because there were no words and it was the rocks and the coffee cup. I was just, talking to her, and I thought that's what it was. When I went back and read the code, I was wrong, because that is considered signage. So that was not legal signage
It was a
that was
violation.
there, but, and hers was bright and had the word coffee, and I just didn't remember signing a permit, and so I questioned it.
Okay, so it was larger, but the door is the same size. So how is it larger than the one that they had before?
So the skip stone, when they had the rocks there, I'm told that was a violation. There was no permit in the file or anything. It just happened. I wasn't here at the time. I'm guessing somebody just didn't see it. But it was rocks going up the side of the door. And the Happy Coffee is a coffee cup across the door with the word happy up across the top.
So it takes too much space.
I'm looking at the pictures and I think the coffee cup with the stones actually takes up more square feet than the cup and the words. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it covered, the stones in the cup covered the whole
The
door.
whole window and the door.
And I guess it doesn't really matter because, you know, those stones were, there was nothing grandfathered. They were a violation. And when Lily purchased the property, they weren't there either. So,
I get that there's regulations and all the things. I just feel like the village looks kind of like a little bit of a, I don't wanna say bully, but a
What a
little bit of a bully.
Yeah, but you have to have rules and you have to stick
No,
by
I
them to
get
be
it.
consistent.
I get
Because
it.
if what
It just-
all of our businesses would put an extra sign on them, it would look so tacky.
I understand.
I went by
that.
Denise the other
Yeah,
morning to
we-
tell her
I
about
get it.
all the tacky signs outside Bertles and on Husby's. Like, she has a sign around a plastic bottle to tell you how to recycle. Like, right, it doesn't say her business name, but it's way worse than a coffee cup that says the business name, right? Husby's has them, we have order here, not 21 here. We're trying to tell people everything because people don't listen. But are they great? Did we get permits for them? Did you get one for that recycling thing?
But
No.
this is clearly an.
So this is a bigger issue
Yeah.
that we are all realizing that we gotta, until we're gonna figure it out, maybe not bully people. Until we all comply and come up with something reasonable, let's not bully people. It's
My other
terrible how she was
concern-
treated.
My
When
other
you
concern-
could go find thousands of other illegal signs in this village, right?
My other concern was
And,
that
and we're gonna, well, keep going on this one.
in
I
order
gotta go.
in order to resolve it, she would have needed to go back to the plan commission, would have cost her 500.
No,
Okay, let me just, maybe Carla's response was incorrect. Okay.
what was happening is she wanted to go to the plan commission and Carla is explaining, so there's a couple processes. Okay, you can comply. If you feel staff made it or plan commission made an error, you can appeal that to the zoning board. If you're asking for some type of interpretation, and that's one thing I had asked her as well was, well, do you want to go to the plan commission to ask them like for maybe revise or interpret artwork on the door? And she said, no, I don't want to go to the plan commission. Because plan commission has a fee that is something they call a courtesy review, where they'll review something, you do have to pay for it because it is their time.
How much?
And if not, at $500.
$500 for a courtesy.
For a courtesy
Wow.
review.
Well, and if not, everybody
That's
would
terrible.
be. We have to charge for the cost of services, and if not, then everybody comes in
Then
for
what- then what are our
But anyways,
policies?
she didn't want that anyway. She didn't want that, so that wasn't an issue.
So
So let me just say something, may I, Nate? Signs don't go to the plan commission. So if she did want to go and say, this is what the code says, this is how I interpret it. Obviously, the code enforcement officer interprets it a different way. How does the plan commission interpret it? And we have this conversation, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the code changes, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the person questioning is happy or mad, depending upon the outcome of that. But signs just don't go to the plan commission. So when I was saying no to you, it's because it's not really a place that you go and would have to pay $500, to have it reviewed.
So her recourse would be.
Just fill out a new sign permit.
Which she did. She filled out one for the sandwich board.
And I had explained to her, because staff had explained what the code was. And regardless, she applied for the permit anyway, and I said, Lily, are you sure you want to submit this? Because it can't get a permit. I didn't want to waste her money.
Because it's not the right materials, it's metal.
It's metal and it's too big because their text doesn't change. And I do want to say a comment about, you made a comment about how Carla found out about it in April and she didn't get the letter out till May.
I don't know the exact dates, I'm just reading
So
through
Carla is,
the email thread.
when the previous board agreed to hire a code compliance officer, the last board cut that down to part-time.
Mhm.
So from March to basically July 1st, that person is working 3 days a week and they are extremely busy because that's all they're doing is short-term rental. Short-term rental. On top of that, there's violations. So when she gets it in April, her priority is those people who have paid for a short-term rental license that need it issued. And the short-term rental people will call quite a bit to find out where
Okay, 'cause they want their light, I got it.
So it was a low priority for her. And, you know, it took her a couple weeks to actually get that letter out to
Okay,
her.
it was a fair question.
Yeah.
Because then she had, I think, 4 or 5 days to respond, so that was, thank you, that explains it. I do have a separate question about renewing short-term rentals, but not.
So,
Okay.
I guess something I want to say about the sandwich boards. I mean, I'm sure Patrice and Denise remember me saying sandwich boards more than a few times on there, and that was like the unintended consequences. So the reaction to the sandwich board was because it was not good back in, is that 2011?
It was a long time ago.
There was some pretty substantial issues, and it's not, none of our code is perfect, and some of it might need adjustment, and it absolutely deserves to get talked about. But there were some reasons for the code being what it was, and I remember the conversation talking about the changeable signage, because of some things that were happening back then. And also, we were looking at through the lens of, these are the plague of sandwich boards that hit us. It's not that way anymore. And it's really easy to look at this and say, okay, well, this makes sense. This is this is common sense that it should be allowed, but to codify that is very challenging. And I don't really see Lily's door as a sign, but at the same point, to your point, Patrice, somebody else might have something that is quite objectionable that really does deter the character of the village.
Even
And
their
it's hard
business
to.
is on the door. I mean, I brought my code with me if you want me to read, because it is a sign.
So what if her sandwich board was the same size and the right materials? Then what would have happened?
It was.
But what if her sandwich board was the same size and the correct materials, but it was new because the other one fell apart? What
She would have
happened?
just had to get the permit to authorize it.
Another permit, what does that cost?
$25, and I'll tell you, I personally think sandwich board signs are like the worst problem that I have to deal with. Every sandwich board sign is hours of work.
Then don't waste your time on it. You are too important and
And
paid way
they're-
too much to be wasting a second
we're-
on sandwich boards.
But she would have had to get the permit. So if it meant code, she would have just had to get the permit.
Because her sandwich board was weathered by weather.
Totally
Okay.
different sandwich board sign.
No. it's
So,
always the same.
so Denise reminded me about the length of your property line gives you more privilege because you're bigger and better and you got a more building or your parents owned it before you, and she's got a little sliver, right? We need to review that. We need to make that more equitable. That's not equitable. I'm not saying it should be the same for everything, but yeah, a bigger building should be a lot of bigger sign. I agree with that, but that just isn't equitable anymore to me. There could be more thought put into it, and let's maybe put some more thought into it, which would maybe allow her to have more signage. That's my sign thing for Lily, but I still, well, when we're done with this, I got.
I'm finished. I really truly had questions about process. I really didn't understand the sandwich board thing.
No, the process I think is, and then she's new too. And this is new to have this position. I'm not in a process, or I'm not in a position to be blaming things. But I can tell you, just in my couple experiences here, this process is half the up.
I was just gonna comment on what Chad said. There is a max of 24 square feet, no matter how big your business is.
Yeah.
So there is a limit.
Yeah.
That's all.
So I'll move on to Buyer, and Carla does admit she made a mistake on this one. So Buyer is a property where they came in to apply for a short-term rental license. And shortly after that, they parked on the grass and Carla gave them a courtesy, she got ahold of them and said,
On their own grass.
on their own
property,
grass,
their own
yeah.
property.
Because the village code, whether you're short-term rental or not, you can't park.
Well, Patrice, you're gonna have to move your boat and I'm not gonna be able to park in my yard anymore. Shit.
So buyer parked on their grass and Carla got a hold of them and said, hey, you can't park on your grass, you know, the code doesn't allow that. And they knew that because their rules say no parking on the grass. So, you know, it was clear they knew that. They were very nice. They said, no worries, you know, it's not.
They
gonna happen."
thought the grass in front of their house, not on their own whole property. It just to be clear, as the letter said, that was their interpretation.
Oh, because we also have them do a parking plan to show where they will allow car parking and it was all in the driveway. So
Sure,
anyway.
but it's their own property. I park in my yard all the
So-
time. Kids park in my yard to go to work all the time. Strangers park in my yard. Do I have to pay those fines when strangers park in my yard?
So anyways, so she told them that, and a week later, she goes out there, sure enough, it's back there on the grass. The van was right back where she told them not to park. So she's like, you know what, it's a violation. She gave them a warning, now they get a citation. Where she made the mistake, and she admits it, because I talked to her about it yesterday, and she felt terrible about it, is their license wasn't effective yet. So they should have just been, the citation should have just been under the regular zoning code, not official.
Do you think, Randy, in a novel world that we can charge somebody $767.50 to park on their own property? Just because they rent it out sometimes, but they're parking there themselves. But the village charges $55 for a violation on their land? Do you think a judge or a court would uphold this nonsense?
They have, they're paying the
You're implying
citations.
that it's nonsense, and suggesting that it is.
I think it's
Can you set
discriminatory.
different rates for different violations?
For a landowner on his own property.
Yeah, I mean, when would a judge say it goes overboard? I don't know.
$767.50 for the first time they park on their own effort property. Mind you, there's yellow lines on both sides of it because that used to be a driveway that we are gonna learn soon about grandfathering in this state. What are we doing here, people? They were in their house for 5 days. They sat on that porch when somebody else owned it, said, we would love to own this house one day. And then they got the opportunity to own that house one day. Guess what? My mom got ready at that house for her wedding one day. They're just so happy to be in this village. And then 5 days later, $767.50 for parking in their own effing yard. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
I guess if the board put that code in place. so if
Shame
the
on you
board-
guys.
If the board thinks people should be allowed to park on the grass everywhere, then the board.
How many fines did we give ourselves when the park truck was parked on their grass in the yellow lines? It's parked there all the time. How many fines did we give ourselves? Did we charge
That's
ourselves?
called parking on the street.
They're on the grass. They're on their grass.
Their wheel is touching the
Yes,
grass.
and they're on a yellow line thing. Why are we doing this to individuals? And I don't care that they park there. That could bother me in the least bit. Why are we doing this to people in our town? What has this become? These people, they're good people. Tell me, why are we doing this? Okay, I'll listen.
Sorry, I just want to say, I kind of agree with you. I read through the letter that they sent in. It just sounds like they were so agreed. They sound like they were so excited to move here. I know what it's like moving. They were parking there while they were moving. I mean, our neighbors just moved in. There were contractors and moving vans all across the front. And granted, it's mud right now. There's no yard there yet, but it was all across the front because there's no, I mean, you're in a high capacity area. There's nowhere else to park. You have to be able to move into your home. I'm just saying they sound so discouraged and so disappointed with how they were treated right off the bat. It made me so sad reading that letter because they're trying to do the right thing and they maybe are slipping up here and there before their rental started. But I think finding them like that is gross. If they were on a back street and no one saw it, nothing would have ever happened. But they're right behind the village admin building, so there's no, you know what I mean? I just think.
How many other
I
fines were
think
given that
something
day
needs to
for
be-
illegal parking in the village?
And to have Gopi property parking stuff all over the place, moving
How
appliances.
many fines did he get?
We
Sorry.
don't find
sorry.
them. I just think we're really, I didn't like it at all. I think it, again, we look like a bully.
So just to clarify, with the Goki, when people were parking on the street, they were getting ticketed. There's actually one of them, I think, that refuses to pay the ticket.
Was that in our report?
No, I
Well,
did
she
not give
said
her
at
enough
the-
time to get.
Yeah,
it.
she said it at the last meeting, too. You guys were ticketing them.
How
and
much
I
did we
get it.
ticket them? How much?
Whatever
Ballpark?
the ticket,
Ballpark.
what does it say here for?
$55?
I think it's 55.
And they were parking on our land, but somebody else
And
parked on their
then-
own land. $765, $767.50. Wrap your brain around how much money that is.
So,
Hold on.
just to answer or comment on that, Bridget, they were very excited. I do not think they were treated poorly. They came in, they bought Carla flowers. It was hard for Carla because these people bought her flowers. They had a nice talk. Carla was nice. She's like, hey, thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry,
By
I
the
don't mean
way-
treated poorly, I mean the rules were
Oh.
against them, sorry.
Yeah.
To clarify, I'm not saying any staff member treated them poorly at all, I'm saying the way some of the things are written, you're stacking it against people who are trying to do the right thing, and I think it comes off as the village being a bully through their rules, to clarify, sorry.
Sorry. Denise, I did see your hand up, Patrice, but Denise said herself first.
I think Chad should clarify, be transparent on your connection.
Oh, I'm their managing agent. I'm also their friend. I drink beers with them on their porch. They're really nice people. They're really
I'm
nice
just saying
people.
for the record. I
For the
thought-
record, hell yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. But that's irregardless.
I know.
For sure. I should have said that. I should have said that. I'm sorry. I
Can
didn't
I
say that.
offer a suggestion?
Yes.
I've been doing municipal prosecutions for probably 35 of the 42 years I've been practicing. And what I always try to look for is a way to get people to comply with the rules. Not trying to penalize them so much, as long as you can get compliance into the future. What I would do with a case like this, and I think he's got a message in to me to discuss this, is to say, look, we'll hold it open for 9 months. If you don't have another violation, it gets dismissed.
I was gonna make a suggestion, because their short-term rental license wasn't in effect until July 1st, they were moving in, can we erase that fine and going forward, educate them so they know what all the rules are about the parking and everything when they are in active short-term rental, but it does seem awfully harsh, and it seems abrupt and sudden and not fair. So we don't want people moving to Sister Bay with that bad feeling about our town, because we're not like that.
So I will say, so that's one thing Carla was like, oh, I did make a mistake. It was under the wrong citation thing. So the one under zoning would have been $452. I do want to say this though. If that's how the board,
To park on your own property.
it's $250 plus all the court
Okay,
costs.
this
The
is a
court-
problem.
the
Thank you
court-
for what you said. That's nice.
Jan?
The court costs are $200. But I just want to say, I think the board needs to have a bigger conversation, because I know from staff and in working with my staff, there's a lot of mixed messages. I remember a meeting where it wasn't this board, it was a previous board. I remember we're sitting in the executive session back there. I'm not gonna repeat everything that was said, but it was, I said, I know what's gonna happen. We're gonna bring these to you and you're gonna, it's somebody you like or whatever, and you're gonna tell us to dismiss it. And they're like, no, you give them the citation, and I said, that's not the way it works. And we were instructed, no, you're treating everybody the same. If it's a violation, it's a violation. So when staff does that, and they try to do it with kind hands, and we don't bust them the first time, like with this woman, like I said, it was like, hey, you can't do it. You try to get her to listen. We try to have some compassion on that. And then that approach doesn't work either. So I think we as a board have to say, we're either not going to enforce our codes, or we're going to enforce our codes, or what are the black and white exceptions? Because we can't say, well, she was nice, so we let it go. Or it was on the side of their lawn, so we got to let it go. I mean, staff needs a clear direction, because every board gives us a different directive.
Did Carla ask you about this citation and the one to Becky, did she ask you what amount? Did she ask you any direction, or is she just on her own? So I understand, because the amount is egregious, the process is super flawed right now. How did it go down?
So the process was, the personnel committee said with this
No,
compliance
no,
person,
right.
they wanted to educate. So she did, when she first saw the violation, she got a hold of her and she educated her. She's like, hey, you can't do that. The code doesn't allow that. Your rules don't allow that. So we did the education piece. And then when it happened again, she does the citation. The short-term rental code says that first citation is $500 to $1,000 plus court costs.
There's a
She
fee
gave her
schedule in
the,
place.
talking, she
I
gave her
know,
the,
I've seen the
she
schedule.
gave her the
It's
lower, she gave her the lowest end of the short-term rental citation she could, trying to give this woman a break. And then it was Monday when I talked to her and I'm like, Carly, you made a mistake because her license wasn't effective. She's like, oh my God.
How much did we find the parks guys? when they
So-
parked there?
So this is, to
No,
Julie's
this is
point-
right across the street.
Hold on,
Did she
Chad.
drive around that day and give any other tickets?
Chad, I'm sorry, but the village doesn't have adequate parking for people.
I get it. I don't want parks to
Okay,
get the ticket.
okay.
but I don't
Oh,
want
hold on,
people
Chad,
to get
Chad.
it.
Okay,
Chad,
all
this
right.
is not correct norm. So to Julie's point, staff is trying to do what the board has told them to do. We need to set a different direction. That's on us. We've got to do that. And this conversation is starting that. We should not blame staff for this stuff.
No, and I.
We need
Just
to,
be clear, I
and
would
that's,
not
we,
blame staff or,
I do think that we need to get a better handle on what's going on here, but I refuse to blame staff on this.
I'm not trying to blame staff, but there was another one that went away as well, where we took somebody's word and said recordings could be provided by the complainer, but they weren't, and then $1,300 fine was issued. Could be, without even proof. We're just taking somebody's word. Some guy that brought a whole neighborhood to its knees in lawsuits.
She listened to the recordings on all of that, Chad, and so she had substantial evidence. When she talked to Rebecca on
She
that.
said she didn't have proof. She said she couldn't get it.
And when she talked to Rebecca,
Yeah.
she asked me what she should do, and I said, you need to call the court and cancel the citation, and she did.
And I appreciate that, but the idea that it went that far already on a could. You know, I'm the process.
Maybe she needs to be full-time, so we're not rushing through.
I think
these.
there are two things to discuss. One is.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
One is the codes
by
and
us.
certainly then the process too. And this is not, we don't have time tonight to do that. We have a lot of other stuff. So I think both of those things are.
What do we want to do with this? I mean, I don't see us setting the direction out of here. I think that we need to.
I think our fines need to be in line with what the village's fines are for the same violation. I don't think this would hold up. I think a property owner should be able to park on their own grass.
So this is a discussion.
Strangers
about-
park on mine. Would I get the fine if would she get the fine if a stranger parked on her grass? How would you know?
Because it's my license plate.
They have been held up. I mean, the judge they have been paid. One of the issues that I think is a big part of it, Chad, is the fees that the court puts on.
Yeah.
Like I said, it almost doubles. the
We got a
citation.
lot of work to do here, and until we figure out a good way to manage this, there needs to be a little bit more inclusion by us on these things. And I don't want to be included on these things. These are the last things I ever want to deal with. But I am seeing such poor behavior by us, and it's all us, because we're the village. That's where people look at us now. I don't want to be this village, $767.50 for somebody parking their own property. Thank you. I'll stop.
Okay, so for, either referral to another committee or a future agenda, it would be a discussion.
I think we
about
bring it right back here.
And.
Do we want to offer any direction as of right now? I mean, like.
Denise has a question.
Yes, Denise.
Well, that didn't mean Nate had to stop talking.
Sorry. Nate,
I lost my train of thought, so.
sorry.
So I was just going to remind everyone that sits on this board that it is the board's responsibility to ensure that the village is well managed, not to manage the village. Big difference.
I agree.
So reviewing codes, that's our job. Our job is to review them, make sure they're fair, and then leave it to our administration to.
It's been clear, there hasn't been enough clear direction given by the board for how to administer these fines. It's clear. And I defend staff on that. It's clear that there has not been enough direction set up. Or if there has been, it's been maybe a little too harsh, in my opinion, or a little too expensive. But it doesn't seem clear to me that there's been a clear way to do this. And a way to do it throughout the village equitably, not just where you can look out a window. You know, because that's tough. So I conceded that for sure.
So one thing
Figure out a good way for 'em to figure
one thing
it out.
I noticed on here, and I remember being very, very specific on this as it came through the process. And that's Carla's title.
Yes,
This
Louise
sounds
talked,
terrible.
Louise talked to me about that, and I did say, hey, Carla, just to let you know, you've been signing your name different on some of these letters, and she said, oh my God, so she changed it. I did talk to her when it was brought to my attention
Okay,
that day,
okay,
and she changed it that day.
okay, so she's the compliance officer.
Yeah.
She's a code compliance officer.
We have an email trail, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know, I know that it was pretty adamant about it, and there was some pushback, but
Again, we had different names going on for that position.
Why,
and
what was the other name?
She signed one of them, code enforcement officer.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
So-
Sounds like you're sending the enforcer out to look for violations, like that sounds terrible.
I do think that there's also something to be said for us talking about an us instead of an us and a them, because there's many times at the board that we do say an us and them, and the us has got to be all of the village.
Yeah.
And getting that
Them is us.
permeated along would go a long way towards this.
These people, we're doing this to our us. We're doing it to the people that want to be a part of this community.
Yeah, maybe we should start reviewing some of the code because I think we're putting staff in kind of a tough spot where we're making some really strict fees and rules and they look like the bad guys.
And I think the other thing that's happening is because staff isn't going out there looking for to enforce this, which is not practical to, it's complaint driven.
Yeah.
Which is going to come across being bullying. That does happen. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's heard somebody say that the village has been a bit of a bully. You try and walk that back, but at the core of it, there's a little bit of, there's some truth to that. Because it is complaint driven.
But I think that from staff's perspective, I think we want clear direction. Do you want to see citations or not? Under what conditions? You know, is it, you give them a warning and if it happens again in 7 days, or you give them a warning and if it happens again in a month, or when is it? I mean, because it's you know, from code enforcement perspective, if you're in violation, normally you get a ticket, right? But we try to say you're in violation, we want to work with you, and if you don't, then you get the ticket. So, which to me is a very reasonable approach. That's not what you get from law
Well, we
enforcement.
clearly got to draw these prices in line with the violations. I mean.
So that would be the fee schedule.
Yeah, I mean, because this is,
And then is there also, can we give some guidance on
100%.
and just to
Yeah,
deal
we
that
need to give guidance.
next agenda?
Yeah.
Is that reasonable, Julie?
If you guys want to talk about how general enforcement stuff, sure.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be very careful because like Denise said, we're not here to.
Yeah, you don't want to talk specific cases, you just want to talk enforcement in general.
Yes, yeah. So why don't we bring that back? And then, I mean, the Plan Commission thing, I think we've already touched on, that $500 courtesy fee. I mean, I think that talking to Lily, she was a little bit, she felt like I complained and then I was told I had to pay $500 to be on Plan Commission. I get that. I've been on Plan Commission a long time. I understand the time that it takes. I do wonder if $500 is the appropriate amount of money to charge for that. But I'd have to think about everything else that is under that umbrella.
Correct.
So it is
That's
not,
the crux. And normally, we have very little this small that would come to us for a courtesy review.
right, and I don't know if there's a way we can acknowledge that this is something that's relatively small. I don't have a solution right now, but I do know that there was discussion on it.
I was just gonna say, as far as the fees go, those are on the draft plan commission agenda. For next week, it's on the draft, the agenda hasn't been approved or set yet, but they are on there.
And this is because of the time of year that this is the time of year you review them?
Well, normally we do them in July. This year, we agreed to delay the fees because finance committee wants to talk about the sales tax issue.
Yeah, that's how the note, okay.
So the fees are delayed to go to the board in August instead of July.
Okay, and the fee schedule is set, am I right that the fee schedule is, this is for our information, but the fee schedule is set by plan commission
So
and
the
then sent to the
committees-
board? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, you're right. So committees come up with them. They figure out what the cost of service is. You know, I help them with that, and then
Yeah.
it goes to the board, and then the board adopts it.
Okay.
Ken,
Ken,
Question.
Are we gonna have to separate you two?
Oh, we're doing good.
You guys drinking over there?
Okay.
Question, so going back to that $500 fee for Lily, that was to
Yeah.
go back for a sandwich board?
no.
What was that for?
Review the door as a sign.
Review the doors, assign $500.
Yes.
But if you wanna build a house, it's $850 for a permit?
I don't,
Like, how does that match? How is a whole house 850 in a
because
sign?
a home does not come to the plan commission, that's an over the counter. Julie issues it in the office. It doesn't come to plan
Okay,
commission.
well, thank you. That helps me understand
Does
more.
planning commission review the house plans?
No residential, only commercial.
Very rarely, there was a couple
Well, there was-
circumstances.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was in
Went
a-
to a commission,
Pardon?
our house plans.
No,
We were on
your
a drive
drive,
call with
your
everybody.
driveway, you asked.
Oh, so many times our driveway, okay.
We didn't
Ugh, don't even want to talk about
touch your house.
PTSD.
it. Sorry, carry on.
yeah, the only time a house would is if it's in an unplatted subdivision.
Which happened out on Country Lane.
Yeah, I think
That was the first one that we've done.
That's the only one I can recall. So the plan commission is gonna review this next month and plan.
Well, you had it
This
in here in
one.
case you wanted to talk about it now, which I think we did, but
Yeah.
it is also to
Okay.
look at the whole schedule.
Okay, we'll just leave it with that. Unless somebody wants to propose a change to it now,
No, I don't think so.
No, I think we gotta give it a little more time to figure it out.
Hey, could I just have one question on
Yes,
your schedule? And perhaps there's a reason for this, but I was just issued a citation with a happily paid citizen.
What did you do? What did you do?
But I had a friend fly in and we took a drive and then we pulled into the park. And it was 7 o'clock at night and we went over to Al Johnson's and had a bite. And came back to a ticket. And I understand that during the day, the importance of that 15-minute parking is just that important because there's limited space.
Behind Wild Tomato?
No, along the
post
Oh.
office parking.
Gotcha.
But is there a reason that those signs can't say 15-minute parking between until 4:30 PM or 5 PM?
We actually, we had the.
We
I'm
did have
sorry.
this discussion.
We did have this discussion because Ken told me about that scenario. And I brought it up and we talked about it because people want to get their mail whenever they're able to get their mail. And so we changed the sign that meant all the time. You can only park there for 15 minutes. Because if there's something going on in town or at the pavilion or music or the village hall, and then somebody just wants to go get their freaking mail and they can't find a place to park. So,
I understand that, but I mean, everyone pretty much knows the post office hours, and I come into town a lot late, pull up some front or alongside running to get my mail. But those spots sit vacant in a downtown that is sorely rather in need of parking. And in the evening, it seems silly that the enforcement agent is working, that if you go past your limit.
It
Yeah,
wasn't the girl in yellow.
Pardon?
Who gave you
It
the
wasn't
ticket?
Carla.
Who was it,
No,
off?
It was an officer.
Officer.
yeah.
But
I saw
then,
him
you know, then
wandering
it
around.
becomes a problem then when they're all full and people start complaining that they can't get their mail.
Question, and I was always told that, we always struggled with the sheriff's department enforcing village ordinances. So have they started to enforce village ordinances?
They can't give speeding, they can give parking.
Just parking is what they're enforcing.
Traffic.
Yeah, I found that out 2 years ago.
Okay. You know, I have an unpaid one too that I'm surprised I haven't got some in the mail for a couple of driver's license.
They're waiting outside for you.
I think the statute of limitations is up on this one, but because I was issued a $300 fine by the village and I sent Monopoly money in, several years ago.
Oh, really? That's great, terrific.
That's on the record now, Dick, so.
Not only do we double your taxes, we fine you too. You're a gracious
Yeah,
resident,
there could
man.
be a big article in the Pulse of jotting that down.
Okay. On to monthly financials. So. We've got broken down into two things here, Vlad. Payments and appropriations, isn't that usually one item? You change that? Or am I just not recalling?
Usually do it more honestly, summarizing the bottom lines.
Oh,
It's
I got
formatted 2 ways.
Okay, no, I know the formatting the two ways. I'm just looking at the
Well, right, and that's what I questioned last month, but I didn't change the minutes because of last month's meeting. Because the minutes stated that they were 2 separate months, but they weren't. I was asking about why do we have to get both if it's exactly the same information for the same time?
Because some people want to look at one
Yeah.
way and some people want to look at it another.
Yeah.
Okay, can we have a link then?
The reason why
I-
sorry, but
Yeah.
for audit managers, technically, so whatever you feed the information is gonna come up with the same number. So 4 reports combining to one pretty much PDF after the appropriation table. So from auditors, they're like, okay, so.
Okay, let me interrupt you, Vlad. Just because we're late, and we got a long way to go. I don't care what the auditors want, that's great. Can we have these as a link so we can I only have to click one and not scroll through all the rest?
So you're saying you want, we list them both, but have them just two separate ones.
If everybody wants them both in there.
But you can go either way.
I'm all about getting that
ridiculous.
out, it makes our packet a lot slimmer. If that's not too much overhead for you.
Does that work for you? To just make it correct?
Okay, I'll make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount
Questions?
of. Usually we start by saying, I'll make a motion to pay it, then you have the questions.
Okay, sorry.
This is how we've done it for a long time. So
All right, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $1,746,272.10. Motion by Bell.
I'll second.
Second by Cadonto. Discussion.
Okay, page 153, Elon Financial Services, Finance Committee members, $90.
I think those were the books. Finance committee books, weren't they?
You got books for finance.
There's government budget books that you get.
New finance members.
Oh, new finance?
She bought us
Oh, 'cause I'm
books and
saying,
gave
I'm
them
like,
to
I
us.
didn't get a book.
No, it's just for the
You
new
didn't need a book.
members.
There's still one in the office.
Okay. Page 155, Elon Financial Services, late fees of $35, interest charges of $83.59.
Glad that you would know how to explain this better, but is that the one where Heidi is having this ongoing problem and they keep charging a late fee?
So it's due to the post office delays. So I requested all of the.
What? Okay, can we pay a bill online? Well, why would we not do that if this is reoccurring because of the bad mail delivery?
But then it's just gonna be complicated.
It's harder to track if you.
We can do online, but then it will take like probably an extra an hour of start time to re-enter everything in. So yes, we can, but at the same time, it's easier to do like that. So
when you cut a check in software, it just
Yeah.
easier. When
It's-
you do
it
it other
reports
ways,
properly.
it's a lot
So
more labor.
could we send the check in a week
Really?
earlier?
It takes me the same exact amount of time in my computer.
It doesn't in QuickBooks, I don't know what we have, but
Can you send it in a week earlier to try to make it?
It time, so, we're working with departments to make sure, like, if they charge the card, even if there's a card on file with, like, let's say, Ace Hardware, bring the receipt, make sure, specify the department and which account to go for. Before Heidi was running all over, picking up, and just like organizing things, so now it's like more streamlined.
Okay.
So the last payment after Heidi left actually went on time.
Good.
When we were in transition, when Heidi was leaving, that's when we got behind.
Oh, I see.
So now we can like,
So it's hopefully a one-time thing.
and I requested those statements to be delivered to me like right on the spot, once it's posted with Elon. So we're not waiting for the mail to get to us. So yeah, we're working on that, so.
Okay.
Page 155, who is Raycor Distributing for custodial supplies? I've never heard of them.
That's from Parks.
I mean, custodial supplies, we've always dealt with Warner Wetzel. It's a name I'm unfamiliar with, a vendor I'm unfamiliar with. Do you know them?
no, but staff probably found a better deal and maybe better service somewhere else and ordered.
Or it could have been a specialty product they
Yeah,
couldn't get
specialty
somewhere
product.
else.
Okay. And this is throughout, because there's so many entries, because it's, I'm presuming, split up over all different funds. Planet Technologies, the annual Microsoft license, does this cost us like $10,000 a year?
Like 6 or 7.
6 or 7? Okay.
So that's one of the things that we really should dig in on, because I don't think we all need the same licenses. I don't think that all of the trustees need the full office package. Everybody in the office does, like everybody that's actually at the
I don't
village
need it.
office. You need it?
I need it.
I go without it.
I mean,
I do all kinds of stuff. Excel, Word, Publisher.
okay. We can discuss that and look at it. I mean,
Sure.
there's a lot of.
And you can
free
say
options.
no.
And I understand
We have
why
Excel
you use it on your Surface Book, but I find a hard time using that. You could probably just take that away from me and not license it, and maybe Louise, because I have
don't
Word,
need
I
it
have
either,
Excel. Yeah, a lot of us have it already, so it might just be a thing.
I have it on my,
Reduce,
if I really need to do something, I have it on my own and then I just, so.
There's a lot of other options, but that's.
Page 156, Action Electric, electrical repair at the sports complex. Did we have an issue out there?
We did, when they were putting in the sewer lateral, they cut some electric. And so, if we took some responsibility because it wasn't mapped,
Okay,
and the contractor took some of the responsibility, and we split the bill.
okay. Excellent. Page 157, GA Computer Services, server upgrade internet, 5,800. This is what is this what we budgeted for that is happening? Excellent.
it'd be nice to have a tech committee to tell you all this stuff.
That's why I have a brain like a steel trap, Chad.
Forget that jab, that trap could close at any time.
See, now I gotta scroll and scroll. Okay, so we have the paid invoice report and the payment approval report. Actually, there were 2 payment approval reports. So those were all my questions. I'm sorry, I worked today and didn't have the time to talk to Vlad before the meeting.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Where are you going?
I had enough fun tonight.
Oh, darn it.
Huh?
Darn
Okay,
it.
staff reports.
We got I'll be back.
So, Megan's
Thanks
and
for the
Eric's would
warning.
have been with their minutes, so I did not ask them to just repeat it for this one or revise it slightly. And then, so I did include some information Eric did want to pass on, and that was
the report on the vandalism that we had over the weekend of the
It sounds
fourth.
like the same person did all three.
You gotta wonder, huh?
Somebody doesn't like stop signs.
Yeah, you gotta wonder.
Sounds like kids. That's not the stop sign we just put in at Sunnyside, is it? That's an old one, right?
No, we haven't put that down yet.
Got it, okay.
We haven't in time. Then just real quick, last month we approved that sprinkler contract. And then the Door Hotel decided not to install it.
How come you didn't install it? She's still here?
I feel like they had already installed their sprinkler system before we sent them that contract, right?
Well, I don't know, he told Sue.
Because
he
I saw
relayed
them
to
getting it done, like a while before.
And maybe that was on their part, but not ours, maybe, I don't know, but he told Sue it was too much of a hassle, so he wasn't gonna sign it. Unfortunately, Randy had already reviewed it, so we got a little legal bill on that one.
Oh, Randy, you'll credit us for that.
No, we won't, we already got the bill.
You are.
Maybe we send it to the Door. And then Zaza's, there was a lot of discussion about trees last week and our last meeting, and just to let you know, they decided to just go ahead and plant what was required to be done.
Okay, good.
And then on to committee reports. Okay. Finance committee. Okay, and again, we're just doing questions. Firebird, there was no minutes, so let's just do the ones we have minutes for then. We have Marina.
There is, doesn't say that Kadanko's absent. Or excused.
Oh, I wasn't excused. I got the email on Monday and the meeting was on Wednesday and I don't open my village email every day. So it was an error on my part, but I have our next meeting tomorrow.
No, I'm just saying on the minutes, it just
Yeah.
needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I wasn't excused.
Oh,
I was negligent.
Okay.
Then parks, properties and streets. Questions?
Any questions from anybody? Well, it was the walk around. I looked at it. That was not easy to take minutes, but it was accurate.
I have a question for you, Louise. Where's the historical sign going about history?
Oh, okay, so, well, then they'll be done in phases, but if you are by, basically the pier that goes out to the swim platform, you're looking.
Yeah.
So you're standing there, a couple of paces to your right, in between that and the boathouse. Is
Okay.
where it'll start essentially.
Kind of by the fire pit area.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we're still, us are still working on design.
Okay.
And we're gonna use, not room tax, funds from the DDC to pay for it. So, Historical Society's got I think at this point, one artist, I think, who can work with us on the design.
So I meet her tomorrow morning.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
But Terry Wolf was there and so is John.
The fire board.
Question on old equipment. The last sentence says, motion by Kadanko, second by Johnson, to sell the unused equipment and to pay the individual that completes the process, 10% of the proceeds, completes the process, what sells them.
He's basically gonna go on Marketplace and do this on his own time.
Oh, okay.
Who was it?
I don't care, I
You
just
know,
need
yeah,
to
it's-
clear.
so basically,
Watts was gonna do
it's the best way to sell it probably, but it's gonna take somebody's time and that was an equitable thing and
Okay.
probably better than our.
Did you say Dan Watts?
Maybe.
No, it was,
Okay.
it was,
There's a handful of people that might be a problem, that's.
no, it was not a board member, that was.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask just a random question? For the Parks Committee, the walk around tour, the new gazebo, awesome, by the way, we just use it on Sunday for family reunion. Is there a reason that the outlet was removed? That used to be there?
Because we're building stone countertops match the light pillars with benches, and the power is gonna go up the side of the,
Oh, so there will be power.
so you can have like an Nestles and stuff like that.
How can our crock pots, you guys, it was a big deal.
But there's still that
I
one
said I would
that's,
ask.
I know it's a little further away, but there's one that's over on the.
I wasn't gonna run 150-foot extension cord in the park.
But I think I like it when there's.
No, that's
the
a
bench and
$1,000
the
fine.
counter. Actually, it's an OSHA violation, Jack.
Okay, plan commission.
Legit.
Questions on plan? Then we have library.
Looking for an answer that I asked last month about a
Yes.
conflict of interest.
Okay, we had the meeting and Rick went out of the room. There was a big discussion between Maury and some other people. They decided in the end that he should be hired because he's really doing a good job.
So the answer is yes.
The
he
answer is yes, he's
the-
hired.
Well, no, but he is.
Is there a conflict of interest with Julie?
Yeah, there's no answer there. They
With-
just hired him.
With Julie being the chair and him being hired for it, did anybody feel like?
Because they're
there's a
married, right?
conflict?
Yes.
No.
So they
you know-
are married. That is.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Given on the parks. That's right. The chicken show. Okay, take a motion to approve the committee reports unless there's more questions.
So moved.
Motion by Hassan, second by Harf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, matter to be placed on a future agenda. So what do we have here?
Parking fees.
Can we talk about
Processes for finding people.
Well, it's going to, the fee schedule is gonna go to plan commission.
That's only planned. That's not all.
I understand, okay. So would then the new fee schedule be ready to come to the board
It should go to the
Next month?
board in August because.
in August? Well, this is
provided-
July, yeah,
Provided
okay,
finance has met.
all right. Okay, that makes sense.
Rescheduling a finance meeting sometime soon. Where are we
It's already
at?
scheduled.
Yes.
You
I
have one
don't have it
scheduled.
on the finance committee.
When is
meeting
it? When are we
scheduled.
meeting?
I thought we already have one scheduled.
We didn't schedule one at the end of the last meeting. We never announced.
Or I'm losing my mind. 'cause I
We
thought
adjourned
had
before we
one.
announced the next meeting.
Wait a second. I
So
thought
it
we
has
had
to be
one on the
scheduled,
books.
yep, but we have to wait until we have all the draft budgets in to schedule them.
I was like, it's not my calendar, so I guarantee it's not scheduled.
We thought
I'm
it
with
was
you,
what?
Sue. I thought it was scheduled.
I thought it was July 28th.
Get the minutes.
Is it?
Was not scheduled.
It was not
Never
scheduled, but
mind,
I'm
not
thinking of
scheduled.
something else completely.
We can just schedule.
No.
No, we'll just wait till we get.
Yeah, I have finance at 1 o'clock on the 28th, but maybe it just wasn't finalized. It's a Monday. So somewhere along the line, we talked about that date. So.
Did we pencil it in because
Sue's
we
in.
were all
Yeah,
together?
Sue is backing me up. That's why I know it's true.
July
Kind of sort of.
28th at 1 o'clock.
That's what I had in the, I know we must have
So-
talked about it.
I had it written down, but I think it was for that.
So I think it was probably penciling it in to see if we
Yes.
would have the information by that date.
Yes.
And I don't know if we still will, but it's
We're
out
still
there.
crazy.
Did we decide to wait on talking about what we were getting into about the possible location out on Lagerquist and the building until Knowles Nelson and the Parks building is figured out? Did we kind of decide to wait?
I think it's
Because we're talking
Parks
about
right
business.
now.
Okay.
I think we could refer that to Parks.
Sorry.
You know what we were talking about bringing us up to speed, but we're just kind of pushing that.
Yeah, that I'll do, no, that I'll do at next month's meeting.
Okay,
Not a finance meeting, but the board meeting.
yeah, I'm asking board agenda. We're talking
Yeah.
So do we
about-
want to refer the admin location to Parks officially because it's going to get talked about with the Knowles Nelson as well? I think that's, those two items should be handed off to Parks.
Yeah, I just don't remember. Yeah,
Yes.
I think they're handed off the Parks. But then do we get I guess maybe we get an update and then while we get that update, you can give us some bio.
It's good information anyway.
Well, absolutely. It's information we need to have. Wherever it's decided to be, we need to have this information.
So it's going to be Denise's finance or what, I don't.
I think you can tie it
I'll call
together.
Denise's finance presentation for lack of a better term.
Sure.
Yeah. until somebody rereads it 3 days later and be like, what finance presentation? It's talk about the admin building finance.
Debt.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else? A motion to go into closed session, according to Wisconsin statute 19851G, to confer with legal counsel for a government body who is rendering oral or legal advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation, which is, it is or likely to become involved. There's that, and then I believe I need to get the other. And closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation data for any public employee over the government body has jurisdiction, exercise responsibility. First one was Town of Liberty Grove, Hunter Clinton Hall,